All right, we are on. And I'm going super, super cash today, as they say. Give me 1 second. I'm going to get a visual aid for us because, as I've learned, that is enticing for people. If they see an image of Blake Lively and Justin Baldoni, then they're like, oh, yeah, that is something that I want to tune into. What's up, everybody? I hope you can hear me okay. Let me know. Thanks to my mods. I see I've got Rebel Bird in the house. And of course, my others often here Vanessa, Laura B., and AJ. So thanks to any and all who will be on today. How long am I actually? Oh, wait, I need my visual aid. Just a moment. I got distracted. Got to get that visual aid up there. Okay, got so many pictures. So many pictures. We can just rotate through these. We'll start with this one. There we go. There we go. All right, so how long am I going to go with this? Honestly, truthfully, are we going to go until I get 100,000 subscribers? Well, that is the pledge. And I don't think that that's as crazy as some might think. I saw somebody in the chat saying we'll be here until we fall asleep. Maybe so, but I have been adding a lot of subscribers, not only since this Justin Baldoni Blake Lively thing started, but particularly since the bit of performance art or the stunt, depending on how you want to think of it, or the protest that I did got so much attention, not only from the mainstream media, but also from other content creators. And I really appreciate that. And it's honestly genuinely touching that you all really liked what I did, because I wasn't I wish that I could say that I am just a PR genius and I just had this whole master strategy about how I was going to do this, and then be the breaking news headline on the Daily Mail and get in Variety. And I even, we'll talk about it in a minute, I did make the Cut magazine. They named me and they didn't have horrible things to say about me. And so I have to give them and that writer credit, because the Cut has done, as you know, a lot of hit pieces and negative, finger wagging articles on Johnny Depp and Marilyn Manson and their supporters, and a lot of us who are critics of what we see as Me Too hoaxes. And so I appreciate that they put me in there, actually named me, and actually quoted me, because I think, they quoted me directly and it gave a good representation, I think, of how I see myself and what I was doing the other day at that premiere. But anyway, I wish that I could tell you that I knew that I was going to get that kind of attention, because I would have done several things differently. First of all, I would have styled my hair in a bit more of a flattering way. I mean, yeah, I'm out there, hair up, no big deal. But still, I was looking at the back of my head, and we'll watch some of my video again and talk about it in the stream. But I'm talking about the video of my quote unquote protest or attendance at the Another Simple Favor premiere, South by Southwest. But I was looking at my hair as I turned away at one point, and I thought, oh, it's so frizzy. And I don't really care per se. I mean, I'll get on here with frizzy hair, but I was like, yeah, if I had known this was going to be going everywhere, I might have gotten some anti-frizz stuff. Blake Brown, does Blake Brown have an anti-frizz? It's me and Blake Lively with our frizzy hair, y'all. What do you think? Now, her hair, look, I'm not going to lie, her hair looked really great at that premiere. And up close, here's an interesting thing. People always wonder, do celebrities look the same or better or worse when you're up close to them? It probably depends on the celebrity that we're talking about. But she looked the same to me, very attractive, beautiful woman. The only difference that I saw with her and with the other celebrities actually is that you're just much more conscious in person of how much makeup they're wearing. And I don't say that to say, oh, they're really fake and they're not attractive underneath all that. I mean, you can see that you're looking at very attractive people. Her and Anna Kendrick, has the kind of the quirky, more girl next door attractiveness, but it works for her, right? And then less so with the men. I think the men had makeup on, but I'm not sure. And if they did, it was very light. So the men looked basically how they look. But the women, you're very conscious of the fact that they are wearing a ton of makeup. But at the same time, that's what you have to do to be seen on camera. Like right now, I'm actually wearing a ton of makeup. And you can see that I have makeup on, but it doesn't it doesn't look so crazy, right, as it does in person. I've noticed that if I don't wear makeup, and so I do it a lot too on streams, but if I don't, then I just look more washed out. That's the thing. But so you're conscious, Blake Lively, Anna Kendrick, I was conscious of how much makeup they were wearing, but it was they looked the same in terms of being very attractive women. So anyway, but my point being though that I was looking at my hair when I turned my head in one of those videos. I was like, oh, it's frizzy. So me and Blake Lively with the frizzy hair. Anyways, but I would have done that a bit differently. And then the big thing that I would have done differently, and Dave Neal pointed this out in his video, which was again, like all the videos that people made about this, I really appreciate it. And they were really cool, and each in their own different ways too, like kind of focusing on different things or having a little bit of a different slant on things. But anyway, but Dave Neal, he commented on how I needed on my poster, I needed to have my handle, my name or my handle or an address or one of those scan things or whatever, right? I needed something like that. And I know I was just kicking myself as soon as people started sending me the Variety Post and the Daily Mail stuff, and I saw like my poster was everywhere, dude. It was everywhere, and I was just like kicking myself. I was like, damn it, why the hell did it not occur to me to put my name or whatever on there? But the thing was, and here's some of what I'll tell you behind the scenes, and I want to talk about, well, I guess I can talk about it now. We're going to be here for 10,000 years anyway. No, before I go any further, I'm going to try to stay on until I hit 100,000 subs. And I think I might be able to do that just because my stunt got so much coverage. But no, I'm not up for some crazy thing. So I might have to actually call time on it. But we're going to see. It's a good marketing gimmick. You have to give me that, right? And the other thing before I get back to my story is that, yes, I do have a cold. And so you're going to notice that in my voice. And I'm sorry if it's annoying. So I am better. Like I'm just dripping a little right now. No, but I am a lot better. But yeah, I've been a little bit sick, and I was starting to get sick at that protest. The night that I'm going to stop calling it that. It sounds so ridiculous. But the night that I went to that premiere, I was starting to get this like tickle in my throat. And I don't know about you all, but for me, that is always the first telltale sign that I'm going to get sick. And I started to get that tickle in my throat, and I'm like, oh, maybe it's just because I've been like screaming really loud, right, at this thing, or talking really loud, or whatever. But then it was like, nah, I think I'm getting sick. So anyway, plus my significant other is sick as well. So I think it's clear what's going on here. I don't think that we need Dr. Fauci to explain it to us. So I will sometimes be taking a drink from this. This is electrolyte drops. Yes, electrolyte. Oh, you can't even see anything. There we go. Electrolyte drops. Sorry about my nails. And apparently RFK Jr. is into this as well. He was photographed on a plane putting strange blue drops, dark blue drops into his water or his drink. And people were like, what is that? But I'm pretty sure it was something like this here. So I don't know. I'm not into stuff like this. This is all coming from my significant other. And, but I appreciate it. But he's like, I read that normal water, it just basically just goes through your system and it doesn't replenish your electrolytes. And I'm like, really? And he's like, so you need to start putting this in your water there. All right. It's my nails again. Oh, who is Manslave Mersh? I just got this really random comment. Who is Mersh? Are you talking about Mersh like Royce Lopez's co-host? I don't know. Okay. Oh, from InfoWars. He got arrested? What for? Okay. Oh, and thank you for that. Calendula, with imperfect hair nails to be much more relatable. Oh, well, dude, I'm definitely relatable in many ways. In many ways. If you only knew. Colloidal silver, if you can get in a nasal spray, that is best. Okay, cool. The only time that I've heard of colloidal silver is there's an HBO documentary about this woman who was leading this tiny cult. It was called like the Mother God cult. And anyway, she got it in her head that colloidal silver was like the tonic and the elixir for every health issue. And so she just massively overdosed on it and was like drinking, like she would drink like huge glasses of colloidal silver like every single day for like months and months or years. And so anyway, she ended up dying, and she was blue though. Her corpse was blue. It was blue because her, and before she died, there are pictures of her, and she looks blue because she drank so much colloidal silver. Isn't that crazy? But I understand that was an excessive case. Oh man. All right. So anyway, back to, let me change it up a little bit. I was going to tell you about my appearance at South by Southwest. Let's just go to my Twitter. Actually, Twitter has been, have you noticed that Twitter has been really off and on today? Which is pretty rare, actually. It doesn't really happen. Oh, by the way, I've posted a little bit about the Menendez brothers. Maybe in a little while I can talk about that, because the DA, well, okay, I don't want to get off track. That's the big danger with these long, here we go. Okay, with these long streams. So I was explaining to you about why I didn't put my name or my handle or code or anything on my poster, since it ended up going viral everywhere. And it just really shows you that I did not anticipate that I was going to get that coverage. Just totally didn't. The other thing too is that logistically, it was actually really stressful to do this. I know that it looks like I'm having a great time on camera, and there were moments where it was funny and I was genuinely laughing and stuff, but most of the time it was stressful. And I'm actually, believe it or not, you might not believe this, but I'm actually not the type of person that actually enjoys doing stuff like this. Really, people don't believe this, but I'm extremely introverted. So when you see me doing a stream, or when you see me doing something like that appearance, I'm just really having to push myself into a different mode, because I so believe in what I'm doing, or I so want to be doing it, and I see a reason for it. So this was my thinking in going to this appearance, the South by Southwest premiere. I thought that honestly, I didn't even think I was going to be able to get close to the stars, or anybody. I really didn't. I thought that especially considering the situation with Blake Lively that she's in right now, and the controversy that's been surrounding this film, I thought that for sure they would not be allowing access. And I guess I have to give them props for, saying fuck it and just doing the more ballsy thing. But they did not have to, and I wasn't expecting them to give the public the kind of access there to these people. Not that I thought anything bad per se would happen, but that it's even like my being there, right? It's unpredictable. And so I was not expecting to even be in the rope line, so to speak, or be able to get close. My expectation was that I was going to go there and I was going to be able to get into the crowd of people just sort of standing around, maybe waiting in line, like further up the line or whatever. And then I would just walk around with my shirt on and my sign, and that would draw attention to me. And then I would talk to people, do man on the street interviews, so to speak, and get some good footage, because that's something that I really want to start doing more. I think I've been thinking about it, and I've decided to start doing more of that, the sort of man on the street stuff, because people say interesting things at times, or funny things, and there's spontaneous moments, and it's good TV. And I think it's also good variety for people who just don't want to see me over and over pontificating. So anyway, that was what I expected. And I thought that the most that would happen PR wise from that would be that maybe there would be a couple of bloggers there, or like content creators like me, who might, or just fans or whatever, who might get a picture of it, and that maybe it would make the rounds on like maybe a few content creators' Twitter pages as like one post, like, oh, look what Colonel Kurtz did today. That's really what I thought was going to happen. And so I guess, as much as I like to think of myself as a savvy PR person, I guess that I really underestimated things in this regard, because it really could not have blown up anymore. So what does that tell me? Well, I want your opinion on this too. What does it tell you that this thing got the kind of coverage that it did? Like, does that just show us how insatiable the appetite for Blake Lively and Justin Baldoni stuff is right now? Or does it show us the degree to which the media were kind of hoping for or waiting for something to happen, something out of the ordinary to happen at this premiere? I mean, to me, that's what I think, is that the media, whether we're talking about mainstream media or alternative media content creators, really now when it comes to this Blake Lively Baldoni thing are going to constantly be looking for new disturbances in the force, so to speak. In other words, every like event, and I'm not planning on going to anymore, but one was stressful enough, and also I did it just because it really was down the road for me. But I guess every event that Blake Lively does, or anything that comes up involving her or Baldoni, it's going to, until this thing is settled, it's going to inevitably have that association with like, oh, and there's this scandal going on, and ooh, let's see if they comment on it, right? Or let's see what this indicates. So I think that this really just shows the degree to which going forward, these people involved in this are going to be under a real extreme microphone, for better or worse, or whatever we think, not microphone, microscope. These people are going to be under a really extreme microscope, for better or for worse, whatever we think of that. And so the fact that I went to this thing, and let me just say also, by the way, I want to show you this headline, because of all the headlines that I got from this that came my way, this was the one that just was just so jaw-dropping to me and just cracked me up. The wild moment. And look at this. This is also what's so crazy, y'all. Here I am in 3 different places. This is the Daily Mail's main page. And here I am in 3 different places on their front page breaking news. I mean, it's just wild. This definitely, of everything that's happened to me since I started this YouTube channel, this is definitely the wildest thing that has happened. But this headline, wild moment, Blake Lively's big comeback is brutally hijacked. I mean, that really, it just couldn't be any more inaccurate, because the real truth of it is that I was off to, especially when Blake Lively came through, I wasn't even holding up my sign. So I was off to the side, I would say, for about 5 minutes, walking around with this sign around the perimeter of the rope line, and nobody had come out. There weren't even a lot of people there. You can actually look at my video and you can see that a lot of the time when I'm walking around with that sign, there just aren't even that many people. So I was walking around the perimeter with that sign saying justice for Justin Baldoni, probably all of 5 or 6 minutes. And the rest of the time I had my sign down. I was mingling in the crowd trying to get interviews, or I was, what you saw, up to the rope line waiting for these SUVs to drive up and unload their celebrity passengers. And so at that point, I didn't have the sign out or anything, because the most that I could hope to do was to hold the camera. I had one of those, long selfie sticks, so to speak, one long tripods. I was trying to hold the tripod above me as steady as I could while trying to say something to the celebrities that would come by. And so I didn't even, so they wouldn't have even been aware of a protest, except maybe just aware of someone yelling some things like justice for Justin, or whatever, or what I said to Anna Kendrick, sorry you had to work with Blake. So there was absolutely nothing that was hijacked or interrupted in any form or fashion by my quote unquote protest. And that's not even something that I would have been going for, because despite the fact that I wanted to make a statement here about Blake Lively, I was not, don't have any desire. I was not trying to undermine anyone else in the cast or even undermine the film, honestly. And so my intention there was not to make myself a nuisance, but just to basically throw on a bit of performance art for like 10 minutes. So anyway, when I saw this, I was just like, wow, brutally hijacked. If that doesn't tell you everything that you need to know about just modern media in this age, and the distortion fields around their stories and their news, I don't know what else is, but I just think I just thought that was funny, very funny, and very telling. So I want to talk a bit about, and by the way, I'm just scrolling through seeing all these different content creators who covered this, and again, I'm just it's thank you, and I'm just so like I can't believe this thing exploded. But I want to talk about some other news related to this. And I think, well, I'll come back to that in a moment. I want to talk about some of the negative coverage of this and just talk about some of the coverage in general, because again, I did get that article in the cut, and then, but there's also been some negativity. So I want to talk about that in a minute, but let's get to the updates about today. It's looking like the director's wife, Paul Feig, and I think her name is Lori right? It looks like she was kind of she planted herself, so to speak, in the audience at the rope line and was pretending to be a fan and was taking pictures with Blake Lively and was out there very prominently as if she were a fan. Which there's nothing wrong about that. Okay, obviously it's good media strategy, PR strategy, to have enthusiastic fans out there for Blake. And maybe what it shows us is that there was some nervousness behind the scenes as to how she would be received and if there would be people out there to enthusiastically receive her. And so I don't know. There were other people apparently also in the crowd. I don't want to say pretending to be, but appearing to be just enthusiastic fans. And then later on, we're seen very, very chummy with Blake Lively, as if, and this is not my reporting, someone else has been reporting on this, it's good work. But we're basically behind the scenes, after the event, looking very chummy with Blake Lively, and who had activist credentials on their resume, like director of an anti-domestic violence organization and another activist volunteer at this organization, et cetera, et cetera. And I don't want to put their pictures up here or point to that because, again, this is not something that I've vetted. This here that we're looking at, this is Paul Feig's wife. So it's obvious what's going on here. And I saw it in person. Like I saw her, this very enthusiastic fan-like looking person, in person at this thing, but I didn't know that it was his wife either. But as for the other people that I'm talking about, I don't want to accuse anybody without actually having proof, but it just looked really strange. The fact that you had these people who were in the audience or at the rope line in the audience area, who were acting like really enthusiastic fans and getting their stuff signed and getting pictures taken and all that when it came to Blake. But then later on seemed to be, I think the accusation is, seemed to be a part of Blake's entourage or her group in some way. So again, I don't begrudge anybody for trying to use some savvy PR, and you're not sure what kind of a reception. If you're doing Blake's PR, if you're on her team, you're not sure what kind of a reception she's going to get. And so you want to have some people there in the audience. I would want to do the same thing. I would do the same thing if I were in that. So I don't think it's like some horrible conspiracy or web of lies or anything like that. But I do think it was worthy of calling out. And I'm glad some of these content creators are noticing it, because again, it just kind of tells us something about the situation. I have said that Blake Lively got a very enthusiastic reception there from the crowd. And I talked about this on Shady, and I'm still butchering her name, Shady Flaw's show that I did yesterday. And we can watch a little of that too as we go along. But yes, Blake Lively got an enthusiastic reception. However, my impression being there and talking to people in the crowd is that there were very few people who were there as Blake Lively fans, so to speak. It was more like, you have to understand, at this South by Southwest conference, it's a big, big deal. It's gotten to be a lot more of a big deal over the years, and people know that there are going to be celebrities there, and there are going to be premieres and red carpets and all of that. And so a lot of people, conference attendees and others, when they get the schedule of events, they just go through looking for what will be like the most sort of celebrity events or kind of hot topic events or whatever, right? And go to those. And so my impression was that most people there were there just because it was a big premiere and they wanted to stand around and see some celebrities. And then there were some people there also who really loved the movie, but didn't much care for Blake Lively. But I don't doubt that there were some Blake Lively fans there, and people were definitely, as you heard on my videos, screaming their heads off for her. So I can't deny she got a warm reception there. And other than my presence, I don't think there was any other negativity or anything like that. And so, but the other thing that I'll say is that, like I said, when I talked to people, most people, they really didn't have a stake in or weren't that aware of the Justin Baldoni thing. They had heard about it sort of, but I did not come across anybody who was like Team Blake all the way or whatever. I did get a few negative looks from people. So maybe that tells you something, though. I don't know. But anyway, yeah, so that's the news for today, or part of the news for today is about the crowd attendance and Paul Feig's wife and possibly some others. So Sorry, I know you keep hearing somebody cough, but like I said, we are getting over an illness here, and I don't have a professional studio, so it is what it is. Okay, so I tell you what, why don't we talk about my write up in the Cut magazine, because that's pretty new. It just came out. And thank you to Tammy for pointing that out to me. She's one of my followers on Twitter, and she'll know who she is. But thank you for that. So here we go. Now, you have to understand, and I said this earlier, that the Cut magazine it is generally very, very liberal, very to the left. It has actually been the forum where a number of Marilyn Manson's accusers told their story, including Evan Rachel Wood, who had like a whole like fashion photo spread and everything. And by the way, to my new viewers who know the Baldoni lively stuff but don't have a clue about the Manson stuff, you are welcome to. I've got all of these videos. You're welcome to educate yourself on that or not. Not everybody has to be into the same stories. So I don't hold on a second. Hold on a second. I'll be right back, y'all. I just noticed something. Yeah, I'll be right back. Okay. Never mind. Everything's okay. I thought there was a glitch for a second, but there wasn't. So anyway, yeah. So my point about the Manson thing is just like that will always be a focus of my channel, and that is something I'll continue to talk about as it comes and goes and whatever, right? But, if you're not into that, then you don't have to be, but you can enjoy my other work. But definitely there, I do consider that the biggest Me Too hoax. And the more you look into it, just the crazier it is, whether or not you like Marilyn Manson or care about his music or whatever. But it's just a crazy story. And that is, I think, why I was never able to walk away from it, even at times when it got to be really dramatic. And the permutations of it at times were just like head spinning. But I always, and sometimes I kind of got sick of it, and I even at one point was just very frustrated. I was like, I just don't know if I can do this anymore. But I always come back to it because it is, I think, ultimately such a tremendous example of an injustice of this type and of hijacking Me Too for one's own manipulative ends and persecuting an innocent man. So I don't know, you can check that out. But anyway, The Cut is the New York magazine that actually has hosted a lot of these allegations, and I think was also very critical of Johnny Depp supporters, if I remember correctly, during that whole scenario. So anyway, but they did do an article, and this was the title of the article: "What Went Down at the Another Simple Favor premiere." So again, thank you to Olivia Craighead. I thought that you wrote a fair piece there, and I do appreciate you also, Olivia, for actually naming me, because my image and my quote unquote story was used all over the place, and no one that I've seen but you has actually given me credit. So thank you so much for that, and I appreciate it. So anyway, here's the deeper into the article. So there were different sections where she's talking about different things, but toward the end, what was the deal with that protester? Right. Someone did show up to the Justice for Justin. Someone did show up to the premiere holding a sign that said "Justice for Justin Baldoni" and wearing a shirt that read "Blake lied." And then you actually, yes, you do see me here. And this was that Variety video. I told you I walked around for like 5 minutes, just at the periphery, yelling "Justice for Justin Baldoni." And so anyway, you can look that up yourself, but include that. And then, oops, here we go. So here's what she writes about me. The protester who goes by the name Colonel Kurtz on social media, yay, is a content creator devoted to what she calls Me Too hoaxes. Most of her most popular videos are about Johnny Depp and Amber Heard. Toward the end of a 13-minute vlog, and did she even link to it here? I'm going to have to look. I've got screenshots here, but it looks like it's hyperlinked. So, wow, if she actually, major props to her if she actually linked to this thing. I'm going to have to look in a minute. It says, toward the end of a 13-minute vlog about her experience at the premiere, Kurt said she thought of her protest as performance art, quoting me. Quote, yes, I'm there to make a statement. Justice for Justin. Justin is innocent. Blake is a Me Too hoaxer, she said. But I'm also quite aware that I looked hilarious and ridiculous doing what I did yesterday. She also noted that she was touched to see so many Justin Baldoni fans and content creators support her stunt. I mean, that is a very fair representation of what I was trying to convey there. And she quoted me a lot and she gave me credit and she described, I think, accurately a lot of the work that I do, and even put something in there and even acknowledged the fact that I was acknowledging other content creators. And I don't know, I just think it's really well done. Can someone look and see if she did hyperlink? Because I'm paywalled. I don't know. I want to see if she did. Just hold on. Actually, give me a minute. I'll come back. They did link to it. I just clicked on it. I had to remove the paywall and stuff like that, but I clicked on it and it does hyperlink. So this New York Cut magazine writer wrote this article and she actually linked to that video. So wow. Thank you for that. And yeah, thank you. I appreciate that. I wish that Rolling Stone magazine and a number of these others who have written about me and described my channel and described my work often inaccurately, I wish that they had at least had the decency to name me and to show people where they could go to check out my work fairly. So again, thank you for that. Kudos to you. Maybe things are changing at the Cut magazine. I mean, we know that things are changing in journalism. We know that in the last several months, a number of various journalist outlets, from the LA Times to the Washington Post under Jeff Bezos' direction, have announced that they are going to be taking a much less woke or leftist direction. So I don't know. Interesting. We will see. So yeah, where are we at on this? We are at the 33-minute mark. I need to step away for about 5 or 6 minutes. And if we're going to be going till I reach 100,000 subs, we might be here a little while. By the way, let's see where we currently are with that. Let me see. I'm going to check. I tell you what, because I can't see it right now. I have to go to my phone where it has like the actual number of the subs that I have added, but I'm going to go check that. I will be back in 5, 6 minutes or so, maybe a little bit more. But I tell you what I'm going to put on in the meantime. I'm going to put on the video that this woman linked to in the big New York Cut magazine. And I know that a bunch of you have already seen this, so you can step away for a bit if you want, or you can stick around and you can comment on it. But I'm going to put that up while I take a little break, grab a snack. I will be back. So I'm going to put that up. I can't believe she linked to it, though. I really can't. That is so awesome. Again, I just wish that I'd been prepared for this kind of media coverage. Oh my gosh. All right, let's see here.
Happens, but we got you. Meet Shady Ray.
All right.
Anna, we love you. I'm sorry you had to work that Blake, Anna. Justice for Justin Baldoni. I am at the world premiere of A Simple Favor 2. if Blake comes by at Fan Line, should I ask her to sign my shirt, my Blake Lied shirt? Just for showing up, I get this great party favor. It's already worth it. Justice for Justin! Okay, at least she left. Justice for Justin! What's up? Team Justin or Team Blake?
Team Justin.
All right, I like to hear that. What is up? Justice for Justin. Justice for Justin. Here, y'all. Just letting all these people know that we are. I'm not sure I'm even supposed to be back here. Letting all these people know that we are Justice for Justin Baldoni. What's up? Justice for Justin. Justice for Justin. All right. Justice for Justin. Justice for Justin. Team Baldoni. Blake lied. Blake lied. I am right outside, y'all. Like somehow I managed to get like right up here next to the entrance. But anyway, justice for Justin. Getting the word out here. Justice for Justin Baldoni. Lots of people. All right. Justice for Justin. This is the kind of like intensive investigative journalism that you can expect from my channel. Justice for Justin. Justice for Justin Baldoni. Justice for Justin. Look, I bet this top agrees. Justice for Justin. Yeah, even the police know. Even the Austin police know. Justin Baldoni is innocent. All right. Justice for Justin. Yeah? He doesn't know. Have a good one. Let's see. Look at this. This looks like a Blake Lively supporter right here.
I took a photo of you from.
You did? What time is it?
That's the major viewpoint, though. If you want to see the red carpet, see where
What time is it?
Yeah.
Want to do an interview? Anybody want to do a YouTube interview? Blake Lively, Justin Baldoni? Make your voice heard? Justice for Justin. You have
I
any?
love Justin.
You do?
Yeah, my name's Blake, but Blake did lie.
Your name is Blake,
Yeah.
and you love Justin.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, one more time. Your name is Blake.
My name is Blake,
But you
but
love Justin.
I'm Team Justin.
Hey, do you know you kind of look like Blake Lively's ex? What's his name? Penn Badgley. Has anyone ever told you that you look like Penn Badgley?
I know I got James Franco a couple times. I got Robert Pattinson yesterday.
I
a
can
little
see
bit,
James Franco. I think
I see Franco a little
I
bit.
think we got a Penn Badgley here. Are
Hell
you
yeah.
from the area?
No, I'm from Connecticut.
Oh, okay. Yeah, you don't sound like a Texan. So what are you here for? At South by Southwest?
No, I moved here a couple years ago for stand-up.
Oh.
Stand-up comedy.
You know what? I can totally see that because you're outgoing. Most people, when they see my camera coming, they
Yeah.
get scared. And they're
100%.
like, so I can see that.
Don't
Well,
perceive me.
do you want to promote yourself a little bit?
Absolutely, sure. Yeah, I got a little YouTube and Insta. Blake Apatow, a.k.a. TOW, no relation.
And you do comedy and you're based in All Stripes.
Get the fuck out
So
of here.
you'll be seen.
Heck yeah.
All right.
My pleasure.
Thank
Have
you
a
so
great
much.
day.
Bye. What time is it again? Sorry.
It's 4:23.
We're still like over an hour. Yes, sir.
This gentleman's name is Blake, and I would love to take a picture with you.
Absolutely. Wait, his name is Blake.
I'm Blake. His name is Blake. Yeah.
Hey,
Not Blake Lively.
Could I get you on my YouTube for
Yeah,
just a
yeah,
minute?
yeah.
Okay, well, let's take a picture. We'll get what you want, and then I'll get a YouTube. First of all, okay, you know what's really weird? You're the second guy that I've met in the space of 2 minutes. His name is Blake. Who I just interviewed a Blake. Isn't that crazy?
That's wild. Well, you're
I'm
like
just gonna
calling
make
them to you with your shirt.
That is true. So, Blake, are you a Blake Lively fan? Here's the question.
I don't know. I'm so in between right now.
Yeah?
You know?
Have you heard enough to have like any kind of opinion, or you just
The
have
legal
no
battle
idea?
stuff?
Yeah, yeah.
Yes, I have heard a lot.
Yeah.
Yes.
Do you think one of them has maybe a better claim than the other?
I feel like I'm not educated enough to give an answer, but I will say it's Blake Lively's side is a little more sus.
It's a little more sus. If Blake comes by, if she does the fan line, should I ask her to sign my shirt, my Blake Lied shirt? Look at my man. This is dedication. He doesn't even care about this Blake Lively shit. He does not care. Hey, do you want to show off the martini glass and get you on camera? No, no, you don't. Look here, y'all.
Oh man, that's I props to him for coming and helping with this. And yeah, he just does not care about the celebrity stuff at all, which is probably really good for me, because if I were with someone who was also really immersed in this stuff, it would probably be even more unhealthy than I currently am with this, or even more obsessed. No, he does not care. But I will say this, y'all. I think that even he was surprised and impressed that my little stunt made the Daily Mail breaking news. He doesn't ever really react in a very demonstrative way, but I could see when I showed him, I was like, "Look at this," and he was like. Oh man. All right. Well, anyway, so I was just checking to see where we are at on the subscriber count. Are we nearing 100,000 yet? Oh man. We are at 99,392 subscribers. So we're gonna have to step that up if we don't want to be here all night. No, but seriously, if you're passing in and out, if you're watching my show but you've not subscribed, go ahead and click the subscribe button just to get us to that point. Man, all right. So what is the latest lately with? I wanted to ask what's in my head with Candace Owens' coverage of this. I know she's been talking a lot about Weinstein. And I just haven't seen her covering lately, the last few days, the Blake Lively, Justin Baldoni stuff as much. But I'm looking at her page, and there's there's a lot going on there. So I think, and she's talking a lot too about what's going on in Syria right now, violence in Syria and stuff. So anyway, I was just curious though if she had posted any news recently, or is dishing on anything, so to speak. So let's go back to I want to look a bit more at some of the coverage that I've been getting from this, because actually there's been some negative coverage, as you'd expect, and also accusations that people like me are radicalizing women online. Radicalizing women online. It's like I'm recruiting for ISIS or something. We will give you 100 virgins if you will attack Blake Lively online. No. Well, women wouldn't be much swayed by 100 virgins. We will give you 100 men who are as hot as Justin Baldoni if you will attack Justin Baldoni online. That's funny. So anyway, but let's talk about Brandon Sklenar. Yeah, that actually jogs my mind. So I posted today on X. I posted this, that Brandon Sklenar needs to grow some balls, is what I said. And the reason for that being, I'm sorry, do we really think that he wore the other day, that he wore the exact same brooch that Justin Baldoni wore, but there was no message or intent in that? Do we believe that? I would love to see your thoughts on this, because we're going to go over the entire story here, because I just find it to be very unlikely and unbelievable. Maybe not, maybe so. But Brandon Sklenar, if you'll remember the other day, let me bring this up. So Brandon Sklenar, who was the co-star of Justin Baldoni and Blake Lively, and in It Ends With Us, he had originally entered into the fray with this whole controversy, as you'll remember, by promoting Blake Lively's original complaint that she made to this California Civil Rights Commission, if you'll remember. And I'm bringing up this picture here. But remember, when she filed her complaint, Brandon Sklenar, her co-star, posted in a very, very dramatic fashion. He posted, "For the love of God, read this." And then there was, as you'll remember, he had some finger pointing down or some reference to look at this, and some reference to look at this for the love of
If you're here in Texas and you have an old heating up,
love of God, look at this, whatever. And so he seemed to be initially promoting Blake Lively. Well, he'd kind of gone quiet and had not said anything else on the subject. And then the other day, he wore on his jacket the same exact floral brooch that Justin Baldoni had worn at the premiere of It Ends With Us, and which had gotten a lot of attention. There's Justin Baldoni in that pink suit with the pink jacket, and then you can see the flower brooch on him. And of course, the theme of flowers, you find that in It Ends With Us. Lily Bloom, Blake Lively's character, is a florist and runs a flower shop and all of that. And then this also had entered in as well in the Nice Pool parody of Baldoni that was in the Deadpool Wolverine movie. As you remember, Nice Pool, that's the Justin Baldoni character. He's kind of the goofy, quote unquote, feminist doofus in that Deadpool movie, and he wears the man bun and all of that, right? And he ends up getting killed by Blake Lively's character, Lady Pool, shot. And remember where he's shot? He's shot in front of a flower shop. Could they make it any more obvious, those two, Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds, that they were trying to insult Justin Baldoni by having this hippie, this ridiculous kind of hippie-ish feminist character with a man bun who is the butt of all jokes and gets killed, and it happens in front of a flower shop, and you really thought you were being subtle there, huh? Anyway, so the point is, the flower thing, very much a theme with It Ends With Us, and Justin Baldoni wore this brooch. And so now, just recently, Brandon Sklenar at a big event wore the same brooch. And people were saying, rightly so, that perhaps this was a silent, tacit way in which Brandon Sklenar was trying to now show solidarity with Justin Baldoni, to basically, and with his supporters, to basically indicate without saying it, like, yeah, look, I've taken a look at things and I see what's come out, and I'm now quietly more supportive of Justin Baldoni, or I'm taking back what I said about Blake, or whatever, right? And to me, that seemed like a really logical assumption, because this is an unusual piece. It's unusual, first of all, for men to wear brooches or to wear flower brooches. You just almost never see that, right? Even with celebrity guys. And so to wear a brooch, a flower brooch, and it just happens to be the same unusual one that Justin Baldoni wore, to me, that is very, very odd. I don't see how else you could interpret that but as a kind of a tacit show of support for Baldoni. And so that's the way that some people were taking it. That's the way that I would take it. And so Brandon Sklenar now just came out recently in another interview, and he denied that this had anything to do with that. What did he call it? Just like a big I'm back. Blake Lively can't take me out. She can't take me out. Oh man. So someone asked, what do you call the content creator in chat? Do you refer to as Kurtz? You can call me Kurtz. That's what most people do. My name is Kristen, actually, but I answer to Kurtz or Kristen. So either way, but yeah, Kurtz is fine. I'll talk about my name in a little while, actually. Some people who followed me for a while know what's up with that, but I know that it's an unusual name. So I was trying to find this particular part where Brandon Sklenar denied that this brooch had anything to do with it, or was just basically saying it was just a coincidence. But I'm trying to find it. Just a second. Let me find the video. Oh, here we go. I got it. So it was People Magazine. They interviewed him. And let me pull it up. Okay, I found it. I'm going to show it to you 1 second. All right. Okay, here we go. So this is where I guess he was asked about it. Was that a show of support? Was there a hidden meaning to wearing the same pin as Justin Baldoni?
Is there any special meaning behind that pin you wore last week?
Honestly, no. No. I wish I could say there was. That was a total happenstance. I woke up in the morning and saw an article, and I was like, "Oh, damn!" I had literally had no idea. I had an idea. I wanted to wear like a floral brooch of some kind, and that was the color I liked the best. And lo and behold, someone also wore that prior to me wearing it. So yeah.
I need a body language expert stat. Y'all, I don't follow any of that body language shit. No offense to the guys who do it and ladies who do it, because when I see the videos, I think, oh, that's interesting or whatever. I'm not denying that there's a real power in signals that we give off with our body language, but I'm not good at it. I don't know the signs. Those of you who watch these body language shows or these body language analyses or are familiar with the signs of deception, discomfort, etc., let's watch this one more time and let's notice. We want to figure out if we believe this guy. Do we believe that this was just happenstance? All right.
Is there any special meaning behind that pin you wore last week?
Honestly, no. I wish I could say there was. That was a total happenstance. I woke up in the morning and saw an article, and I was like, "Oh, damn!" I had literally had no idea. I had an idea. I wanted to wear like a floral brooch of some kind, and that was the color I liked the best. And lo and behold, someone also wore that prior to me wearing it. So yeah.
Is there any special meaning behind
Yeah, you're right. We do need to get Jesus.
Honestly, no.
In fact, I'm just going to tag him.
No.
Where did it go? Oh shit. Okay, so hold on a second. Now I'm reposting, and oh wait, I'm just terrible at the text of. Okay, so hey at Jesus. There we go. Oh, he went away. I just saw you. There we go. Oh, it's because he had the accent. Okay. We need a body language analysis on this from you, stat. There we go. Is Brandon Sklenar, is it one N, right? All right. Did I say it right though? It's one N, not one R, but one N. Okay. All right. I'm posting this now. All right. So there we go. No, that was a good suggestion there. He's I watch his stuff, or I don't watch these types of videos, but I do see his posts all the time. So love it. Love it. All right. Thank you for the suggestion. That's great. So if you're just now joining, by the way, oh, hey, AJ, what's up? AJ says, did you watch his CBS Morning interview that he did a week or two ago? I don't think I did. You want to tell me about it? We're talking about Brandon Sklenar? No. What did he say? Let me know. What am I missing there? So Michael Golden says, poor guy is probably shitting himself because, like it or not, he's under somebody's thumb. So this is what I think, and I see other people commenting on this as well, is that probably what happened is maybe he had like an impulse that he was like, okay, I want to wear this. I want to show a little bit of support or whatever. And then it kind of like with me in my protest, it sort of blew up bigger than he thought it would or intended it would. And now he started getting like some hate from like Blake Lively supporters, or more likely his PR people just said to him, this is just a no-go, dude. Kind of like after Ari Emanuel gave that disastrous answer at the Freakonomics podcast. And then I think his publicist or someone said to him, dude, this cannot air. I kind of feel like maybe that's what happened with Brandon Sklenar, is that he sort of went out on this limb. He's probably like, he's read the same documents we've read. He's watching the same coverage we're watching and putting out there. He probably now knows that Blake Lively manipulated him and that there was this whole set of things going on behind the scenes with that dynamic that he had no idea about. And so he thinks to himself, okay, I want to show not only Justin Baldoni, but I want to show his supporters and stuff in just a small sort of tacit way. Hey, I'm thinking about you, or I regret what I did, or whatever. Kind of like just a little shout out, but very, very low key. And it's going to be so low key that no one's going to be able to comment on it, because it's not like I'm holding up a justice for justice sign or justice for Justin sign, or I'm doing interviews where I'm supporting him or I'm speaking out. It's just a little pin and whatever. But then, of course, because this story is so massive, this whole Blake Lively, Justin Baldoni thing is so massive, then it ends up blowing up. Right. And so then someone says to him, his publicist, or who knows, like, dude, you gotta back away from this. Just if you're asked, just say it was a happenstance. I don't know. Maybe Jesus will get on it. He does look uncomfortable. Of course, he could just be uncomfortable as well. That could be the issue. All right. So someone sent me earlier this. Let me see where. Someone told me to go watch Dave Neal's show because he was pointing this out, that there was a scene. All right, so we're going to watch this again in a minute. And apparently what we're going to see is she bites his lip. Blake Lively bites Justin Baldoni's lip. And of course, the idea here is that she has accused Justin Baldoni of crossing various lines in the filming of some of the intimacy scenes and so forth, and that scene on the dance floor. And yet we're seeing her behave in a kind of aggressive way and making sort of aggressive moves in some of these scenes, right? And so there's a kind of a double standard here. I'm not sure about the second part with Ryan, what this is about, but I want to look at this video. Oh, I saw it. I did see it. Can I just say, by the way, that I don't know how actors do this stuff and they keep their real relationships together. And what I mean by that is I think that most people watching their significant other, their lover, girlfriend, boyfriend, wife, whatever, doing these things with someone else, even under the guise of, oh, it's just acting, it's just pretend. I have never done a scene like this. I've done a little bit of acting when I was much younger, like school plays and stuff like that. I've never done any acting or anything with my YouTube that has ever required me to have anything approaching a kind of romantic, intimate contact with anybody, right? Or on camera like this and stuff. And so I don't have any experience from which to speak, but I just, y'all, don't know how you can have these types of physical exchanges with an attractive person, even if cameras are on, and not feel something from it. And I'm not saying that means that if an actor and actress does a scene like this, or they do a love scene, that they're betraying in their partner or anything. No, I just think everybody understands. You understand if you date an actor. It's like if I was going to date someone who did porn or something, right? I used to have this discussion actually with Celtic Iron, who's on my channel, about, does this make it difficult, with like if you're dating someone who's not in the industry? Of course, when you date an actor or someone who has to do stuff like this, like, you understand, like, this is what I'm signing up for. This is what I'm getting into, is they're going to have some of these exchanges with people. But I just don't know. Maybe if you're an actor and you're in my stream and you've done work like this, you can tell me how I'm wrong. But I don't know how people have these kinds of, even with cameras on, these kinds of intimate exchanges with each other, and there's not something being felt, at least on a basic biological level, if not even a more emotional one. But anyway, that has nothing to do with Lively versus Baldoni. The question is, was Baldoni crossing lines and harassing Lively? And I think what this video, among other things, shows is that she was all too willing to initiate even sort of edgy contact in terms of biting and things like that, right? And we've seen that. I mean, we saw the long video where they're dancing, where it's quite obvious that she's not being harassed in any way. And also, it's quite obvious that in the way that he yells "cut" abruptly and says, basically, we got to wrap it up, we've gone on too long, that he's not interested. He's not interested in her, right? And that's one of the things that came out in Blake Lively's lawsuit, and that rings true for me, is she claims that Baldoni told her, quote, "I'm not even attracted to you." And I totally think that he probably did say that if and when these allegations were raised to him at any point, because I do believe that seeing him in that video, the other video where they're dancing, and then he yells cut, and his demeanor completely changes, and he's like, "Hey, we already got enough footage," and just kind of walks away, and she's sort of just left kind of like, "Oh yeah, right." I'll try to pull it up in a minute. I mean, we've all seen it, right? But I'll try to pull it up. But that it's very clear to me that there was no romantic interest or sexual interest on his part. But yeah, to me, this is just one more indication here that she was totally comfortable with him, and she was comfortable in crossing some lines, perhaps herself. And let's not forget that one of the things that Baldoni alleges in his lawsuit is that she would frequently have him up to her penthouse, to even at times late at night, to hash out things like intimacy scenes. And so if you have a situation where this woman is, without the intimacy coordinator, by the way, if you have a situation where this woman is having this guy to her penthouse at night to just between the two of them hash out intimate scenes, to me that shows that there's absolutely no discomfort on her part at all. And other people have pointed this out. If she was feeling harassed by him, if this guy was creepy, if he was making her uncomfortable, then why on earth would she continue to then have these meetings with him at times, without an intimacy coordinator alone to hash out stuff? Like it just doesn't make sense. It honestly doesn't. Okay. Let me go away for 30 seconds and I'll be back. I want to show you something. All right, so I want to talk about this lady, Caroline Kwan. I was not aware of her prior to this, but she she posted recently this critique of content creators like me, and warned that we were basically radicalizing women online, again, as if we're talking about ISIS or some kind of extreme like KKK group or something really, really crazy. But she accused us of, and this is not, by the way, just someone. She has a fairly big Twitter following. Hold on just a second. Oh, okay, thank you, AJ. I'll look at it on a break and then definitely come back and talk about it. Appreciate it. You said he dodged okay, so AJ has sent me something saying that Gayle King asked Brandon Sklenar the question about the Lively thing at a certain timestamp of an interview, and he dodged the question. All right, interesting. Well, I'll pull it up then. So anyway, so Caroline has she has a bit of a following online, and she has been retweeted now, and I believe interviewed by everyone's favorite Taylor Lorenz. That's right. Now, let me take just a bit of a detour here for a minute to talk about the latest with Taylor Lorenz, because you may remember that Candace Owens announced, a week ago or so, that she had talked with Taylor Lorenz, and I think Taylor Lorenz contacted her. I don't think it was the other way around. And I don't think at that point Candace Owens really even knew about the rap on Taylor Lorenz, so to speak. But she did say, Candace Owens, in her podcast, that she had talked to Taylor Lorenz, and that Taylor Lorenz, I'm sorry, you can't see the screen. That Taylor Lorenz had questions about Candace's coverage of the Baldoni situation, or I think it asked her, why this had blown up so big, etc. I don't really remember it exactly. But anyway, there were some content creators then online, such as Ari Jacob and that umbrella guy, who expressed some concern for the fact that Candace Owens was talking with Taylor Lorenz, because Taylor Lorenz is such a shady character. And those two, Ari Jacob and that umbrella guy, they know especially how shady and sabotaging Taylor Lorenz can be. Now, I see I got a super chat here. Let me address it before I move on so I don't skip it. Okay, Dan Campbell, what's up? Good to see you as always. I think many marriages in the industry understand what happens during 12-hour rehearsal days. Based on some of the things that Sarah J. Parker said on Howard Stern, in my opinion, she and Matt have an agreement. Right. I think so. And there's also, I think, in life, I think some people understand too that just having a temporary biological or physical response to someone or something like that, or even maybe a light emotional response it doesn't mean anything, right? Because like you said, 12-hour rehearsal day, generally they're tired anyway, it's stressful, it's probably just kind of a fleeting thing. I think where it becomes problematic, and if I were married to an actor doing these types of movies, these types of scenes, I think where it becomes problematic is, what if it's someone that outside of that scene, someone really feels a deep attraction toward? Like in a normal life, let's say I had a job at Bank of America, all right? And I'm a teller at Bank of America. And then let's say that there's a cute or charismatic or intelligent or whatever floats your boat type of guy working next to me at Bank of America. I may feel an attraction to him. It might be reciprocated, but we're both in relationships and we're able to keep that boundary up, maybe with a little bit of diligence, right? Sometimes it's a little difficult. You're having a drink after work with other people, or you're having a moment where you're having a bad day and that person is there for you, whatever. There are times things can get a little bit fuzzy, but for the most part, you're able to just say, no, it's just work relationship. I've got this other thing going. What happens though if your work at Bank of America requires you to make out with the guy next to you and grind your genitals against his? That becomes a little more problematic. Don't tell me it can't. Don't tell me it can't. And I think that's what happened with Brad Pitt and Angelina Jolie, honestly. There was that intense attraction outside of it. And I don't think that Brad Pitt meant to be dishonorable to Jennifer Aniston, to his wife, but then you're doing all of those hot, aggressive sex scenes with this person that you're also having a connection with outside. It just becomes more problematic. But I don't think that's what happened with Baldoni Lively. Now, I will say this, though. A number of people, including Candace Owens, have said that they've heard behind the scenes that we're going to come back to Taylor Lorenz, but they've heard behind the scenes that Ryan Reynolds is actually the problem, and that Ryan Reynolds, he came by early on in the shoot and wanted to look at the dailies for It Ends With Us. The dailies are the film that they have from that day's shoot, very, very raw film, right? And that apparently, and this is Candace Owens said this, and I heard some version of this from a couple of other people who are like friends of friends or whatever, right? And apparently Ryan Reynolds saw something in the dailies that really upset him. Again, sorry for the noise, like coughing and stuff. It's sick. My guy's sick. I'm still sick, so you're going to hear it. But Ryan Reynolds saw something in the dailies that really set him off. And it was implied that it had something to do with jealousy, that then Candace claims that he and that Lake and Ryan Reynolds had then a fight in her trailer or something like that. I don't know. Again, these things are true. They're not substantiated. We don't have textual evidence of it at this point. Whereas what we do have evidence of, textually speaking, is evidence that Blake Lively and Ryan were intruding into the making of the film, trying to take over the film, hijack it in a way from the other professionals working on it and the guy directing it and all of that. And that then Blake Lively also decided to make some allegations of a sexual Me Too type nature, right? So I don't know if there was jealousy going on or not, but I will say this: Justin Baldoni is, I think, a lot more attractive than Ryan Reynolds. It doesn't even matter who's attractive or not. If you've been married for a long time, Ryan Reynolds and Blake Lively have been married for a long time. They're 4 kids down the road and all of that. There's a certain inevitable losing of the spark that occurs. I'm not saying that it's not possible to be together for decades and still be having sex and still be romantic and all that. I'm not saying that. But I'm also saying that there is just a big difference between your first years of the relationship in terms of this spark and the later years. And so you've got this couple where they've been together for a long time and 4 kids and all of that. And even if they are happy, she's doing these scenes that I just showed you with like the biting and all of that on this hot guy. I know he's not, Justin Baldoni is not everybody's cup of tea or whatever. And some people I know thinks that he looks kind of goofy. Fine, whatever you think. But I think for most women, this is considered an attractive man, even if we're not looking at the man bun. So Ryan Reynolds, I guess what I'm saying is I don't think it's crazy, the idea that Ryan Reynolds got set off in some way by the fact that Blake Lively was doing a romantic, and not just romantic, but erotic film before he gets abusive. You know, there's a whole lead up to that in this movie, if you've watched it, where they're having some pretty racy, you know, sex scenes and even the kissing scenes and all of that. And I looked at Blake Lively's IMDb, and she's not done a lot of films like that, and she hasn't done them recently with Ryan either. And that can make a difference too, because you might ask yourself, well, okay, if Ryan is going to get jealous, if Ryan Reynolds is going to get jealous about her doing this film or with this guy, or there's something that's going to set him off, then why haven't we heard about him being set off with other things? Well, first of all, just because we haven't heard it doesn't mean anything. But secondly, if you look at the types of movies that Blake Lively has done, I think the last movie that she did that was super racy or had a real erotic component to it was Savages, where, you know, the Oliver Stone film where she was having a threesome with Taylor Kitsch and Aaron Taylor Johnson, right? But was she with Ryan Reynolds then when she did that? When was Savages? Let me look and see here. Just a second. When is Savages? Okay, Savages was 2012. So that would mean that they were shooting in 2011. And then she met Ryan Reynolds on a 2011 film, The Green Lantern. They claim, of course, that they didn't start. Well, that would have shot in 2010. So here's my thesis, okay, is that even if she shot Savages after The Green Lantern, things at that point would have been so fresh and so new in her relationship with Ryan Reynolds, this just wouldn't have been an issue. And the nature too of her scenes in Savages, yes, I know there was like maybe 1 or 2 racy sex scenes, but otherwise the romantic component, it was not built around her romantic connection with another guy, right? It was like a drug cartel film, Oliver Stone film. So the nature of this movie with Baldoni, it was built around these dynamics, the erotic dynamics, and there were some really racy scenes in a sort of more, I think, erotic way, and less just in your face, you know, pump, pump, pump sex scene, right? And also, y'all, let's not forget that because these themes were so important in this movie, in It Ends With Us, there was a lot of discussion that would have been going on around these themes among the actors and the director. And so, you know, you can imagine that when Blake Lively and her director, Justin Baldoni, are hashing out these sex scenes or the romantic, erotic dynamics between their characters, there's probably a lot of conversation going on, professional conversation, but a lot of conversation about romantic dynamics. And we get that even in the slow dance scene where he makes reference to, they talk about their respective partners and sort of their styles with their partners and all of that. And even at the level of like sex acts, right? Apparently there was a discussion about whether to, you know, how to include oral sex or focus on it, or when someone's going to come or when they're not or whatever. And so my point just being that this in a lot of ways was very charged. And so I could see where Ryan Reynolds would have gotten, especially this far into his marriage and everything, where he would have been really insecure, and where also it's possible that Blake Lively did, as people say, actually catch feelings to some degree. And I don't think that it is crazy to suggest that one driving force or one element of her aggressive targeting of Justin Baldoni stems from some kind of underlying erotic attraction, right? I mean, we just know this. It's even, you see it all the time, even in movies, right? That there's a thin line truly between eroticism and attraction, and then rejection, anger, you know, the feeling of being scorned, or so we don't know. I'm just saying that this is a highly charged situation. erotically in a lot of ways. And I think that unfortunately that has had a detrimental effect on Justin Baldoni because it's put him at the center of the swirl of a lot of stuff swirling around him that really has nothing to do with him, right? In terms of even Blake and Ryan Reynolds' relationship dynamic and stuff. So I also think that it's very possible that Blake's experience, and people have talked about this as well, that Blake's experience on films is in general that she charms her male co-stars and she likes to do that. I don't know that she had an affair with Ben Affleck. There's nothing to suggest that, but we know that Ben Affleck, when they were doing The Town, was clearly smitten with her to the point where he rewrote her scenes so that she would have a much bigger part in the movie. Which again is fine, is right, no problem. This is the making of art. All kinds of things come into it, but I do think that Blake Lively is the type that is very accustomed to male attention and to being appreciated, even if nothing comes of it, being appreciated that way by her co-stars. And then with Baldoni, it really seems like the situation was the reverse of that, that outside of them working on what they had to work on, right, for the romantic aspect of these scenes of this movie, that he just didn't have any interest in her like that. And that to a woman who is even as hot as she is, getting into middle age, especially feeling insecure for kids down the road, in a marriage that, even if it's a good one or a loving one, is probably in a lot of ways stale, and all of that. And then there's this really hot, very emotive, very intense. I mean, you can't deny that Baldoni is super intense. And that works against him in a lot of ways because people take that intensity as a kind of creepiness, even if it's not. But he's very intense and all of that. And I can just see Blake Lively in the midst of this romantic film where they're having to touch a lot and share parts of their romantic selves and whatever, developed some kind of a crush on him, or at least was wanting that kind of validation, and she did not get it. And so therein was maybe one part of the problem, or one element of the problem, right? So anyway, I don't know. We've kind of come a long way here with this conversation. And we are at the 116 mark. So this is what we're going to do. Let me look at my subscribers. Are we growing any? Let's see. It is, I just have to say, it is really exciting to be this close to 100. Can I just say, hold on, 421. Y'all, this could be doable, actually. We'll see. All right. Tell your friends. Tell your friends. I'm going to get off in a minute. I'm going to actually retweet and encourage people, try to encourage people to subscribe and join in here. But let me just tell you, I was in the 88,000 range for years. 4 years. I just want to show you this. So right now, I am at 99,421 subscribers. I was for years at 88,000. And sometimes it would go below, right after the Depp Heard trial, I almost got to 89,000. I think I might have actually gotten to 89,000. Right before then, I started dipping down again. And so I almost got to 90, but 89. And then after the Depp Heard trial, then began the long process of watching slowly people drifting away, right? Because you get that huge pop with Depp versus Heard, and then people are going to fall away. And so I think I got to a low after that of maybe 84, 85,000. And then I covered the academia stuff. So I got some new people there. And then I continued to do the Marilyn Manson stuff, which gave me a little bit more. And so I slowly edged my way back up to 88,000. Anyway, I sat there I've been there ever since Depp versus Heard. And I did not start to grow again until the Blake Lively, Justin Baldoni thing. So I have had the growth that I've had. It has been just in the last 2 months covering this. And it is, I have to say, after being in 88,000 purgatory for years, it is so, so nice to, knock on wood, God willing, to be within sight of the $100,000 zone. Not because I get, a plaque or whatever from YouTube, even though that would be nice. I hear that it takes them months and months and months to send it out. Like Pop Culture Crisis got theirs, I don't know what, a year ago, 6 months, yeah, a year ago. But they talked about how it took forever for them to get it. But it's not about that. It's just about, here's what it's about. For a lot of people, and I'm like this as well, it is a psychological barrier, the 100,000 mark. If I go, I hate to say this, but if I go to someone's YouTube channel, if I haven't heard of them and I go to check them out and I see that they are over 100,000, then to me that says, okay, this person is more likely worth listening to or watching because they can have more influence, because that 100,000 shows me that they've at least they're entertaining enough or informative enough or perceptive enough to at least get this number of people to pay attention to them. And it shouldn't matter, I guess, but it does. And so I know for me that 100,000 mark is a huge, huge barrier. And so to be able to get over that finally, after again being so close, almost 90,000 at one point, and just there for years and years and years, nothing happening, stagnant. It's so exciting. So again, I really appreciate those of you who are subscribed and are supporting me in this and all of that. Really, really appreciate it. So I am going to take a 10-minute break because I do want to continue this. And I want to say, I understand with my mods, you're living your lives. It's a Monday. Totally understand if you need to go. All right. This is an experiment as much as anything else. Just like when I did that 24-hour stream. Do you know the biggest audience that I've had other than lately with Blake Lively stuff was when I did that first 24-hour stream? And I didn't have any mods for that. I was just like out there on my own. And I had 1,200. At one point, I had 1,200 people watching at once. And I went for a day for 24 hours. I think it's still up. I think it's still under my live stream somewhere. And so that inaugurated my habit, then I should say, of a habit, but my tradition of having a 24-hour live stream every few months. And for a while I could keep that up. These days I can't. I'm just too busy, and I've got a job again, an actual job again. For a while I was just trying to do the YouTube stuff, but it wasn't happening. Anyway, point is, that is the last time that I remember that I've had that kind of a crowd and just been out there winging it on my own. But I do appreciate my mods and I appreciate all of y'all. So, okay. I'm going to take a 10-minute break, and I'm going to put up one of my videos if you want to stick around and talk about it. I tell you what we'll do. Let's go to Kirsty Flaw's channel, and let's watch the interview some of the interview, won't watch the whole thing, that she did with me, in which she asked me about my protest. Some of you might have seen this. I don't know. But it was a great interview. I really enjoyed it. And
the only thing more popular than me is Wild.
She's really awesome. So let me bring this up. Oh, you see it. Okay. All right. And also I understand if anyone wants to go over to Candace Owens and watch her Harvey Weinstein special, no hard feelings. I'll probably still be here when you get back. All right. Y'all enjoy this, and I will be back in 10 minutes. Okay. And observers to know that I wanted the media and observers to know that a lot of us have a problem with Blake Lively and what she has done to an innocent man.
Hi, and welcome to Flaws and Talk. I'm Shady, and here on my channel I talk about my good and bad experiences in Hollywood and working as an entertainment reporter. So everyone keeps talking about the premiere of Another Simple Favor that was happening on Friday, and one person got a lot of attention. She showed up protesting at the premiere, and I have her here as a guest today. Her name on YouTube is Colonel Kurtz. Maybe you've seen some of her videos. She uploaded a video yesterday where she showed what was happening when she was protesting justice for Justin, and she had a shirt saying Blake lied. So I asked her a lot about the response that she got, because she was on the cover. She was like the main story on Daily Mail. Variety did a story. I mean, she was everywhere, and she was alone doing that, which I thought was really badass. So I'm going to talk to her about that in this episode. Oh my God, there was just an earthquake here. Whew. Anyways, please welcome my infamous guest, Colonel Kurtz. Colonel Kurtz, thank you so much for joining me here on Floss and Talk. I am so impressed with your stunt on Friday in front of everyone at South by Southwest at the premiere of Another Simple Favor. Tell us what you did.
Well, so I live in Texas and just about an hour or so down the road from Austin. And so, by the way, for some of my haters and critics online who were saying, can you believe this loser drove all the way to Austin for this? It wasn't that far to drive, but I would have driven a lot farther to have done this because I was the only protester there, which I expected. I didn't think anyone else would show up because it is kind of an intimidating thing to do. You don't really know what you're getting into, right? But I've done this sort of thing before, and I think of it really as a kind of performance art. In a way, it's a stunt, and I know that it's laughable and ridiculous, and a lot of people ridicule me for it or think, what is this freak show doing? But also, it gets the word out. And what I wanted, there were two things that I wanted. I wanted the media and observers to know that a lot of us have a problem with Blake Lively and what she has done to an innocent man. And so I knew that she was going to be getting a lot of love in the media for this big new premiere. And I just wanted someone to be out there at the premiere holding up the sign, standing up for Justin Baldoni and calling Blake Lively out for what she has done. So I knew people would laugh. And it's funny, I was laughing too. I was cracking up. I brought my significant other there. That was in the video too. He was cracking up. So yeah, I don't think that I'm some serious protester, but I do think that I achieved what I wanted, which is to get the word out that there are a lot of us who have big problems with what Blake Lively has done, and we're not just going to forget about it and celebrate her new movie.
I think it's amazing how much attention you got in the press. One person, and I saw you everywhere, and I was like, I know her. I've seen her. I've seen your show on YouTube, which is amazing. You guys, you have to go and check her out. I'll plug everything about her in the description. But were you surprised about all the coverage you got?
I really was shocked, to be honest with you. And let me just say that if I had known that I was going to get that kind of coverage, I would have fixed my hair better. and I would have put my title or my web address or something on my poster, because although my image was disseminated, like you said, everywhere, I don't think there was one article that mentioned my name, that actually identified the show that I was with or anything. And they could have found that information, very easily. In fact, I was saying it there as part of my protest. I was telling some of the people filming me and a couple of the, I think, journalists who were asking me some questions who I was, but they just don't want to do that. And you know why? Because they want to get their big moments to sell their papers or to sell their website, but they don't want to actually give content creators like us credit for what we're doing. And that's the mainstream media for you. But yeah, I was shocked. I was absolutely shocked. I think the most shocking headline was when I saw that I was breaking news on the Daily Mail front page, and they were claiming the article title was that I had brutally hijacked Blake Lively's premiere. And so when I saw that, I was like, wow.
Oh my God. It's funny when you say that, because, I am also, or been a part of the mainstream media for so many years. And so for me, it's all these mixed feelings around, not taking mainstream media seriously and creators seriously. And now I have kind of one foot here and one foot there. But I completely see your point there. And I mean, my words have been twisted around so many times as well, so yeah. No, so I was going to ask you, did anyone kind of react negatively to you? Were people like, oh, women hater? Or, did anyone say anything like that?
I was surprised that no one did. I got almost no negativity or hostility. I made a joke toward the end of the video about, I got to get out of here so I don't get beaten up. But actually, I got almost no negativity or hostility from anyone. The only thing that was a little bit, I guess you could say, disapproving, there was a woman standing in front of me, and through the whole process of these different celebrities walking the rope line, so to speak, right? And so I had a friend of mine next to me I was talking to, and my significant other was there as well. And so we were kind of chatting through the whole thing. And so we were talking shit about Blake Lively, obviously, for obvious reasons. And then also we got onto a conversation about how Austin has really gone downhill in the last 5 to 10 years. Anyway, so the woman in front of me, she finally turns around and heads out. And as she's passing by, she says, perhaps you can come up with one positive thing to say before this day is over. But no, in terms of what you mean, like Blake supporters or anything, no, I didn't. There were actually a number of people in the crowd who were laughing at me in like a funny way, and like
I
can't
saw
believe
that.
he's doing this. And then I was stopped by a number of people who saw my sign and said, "Oh, I've been paying attention to that," or whatever, and would get to a conversation with me. And I have some of those interviews still to come out. But to be honest with you, I think the overall attitude that I got from people that I talked to and encountered there is that a lot of people have heard something about this whole controversy, but they still don't really know much about it. And I hate to say this honestly, but most of the people that I interviewed felt that there was probably wrongdoing on both sides. It's sort of, well, I heard that they both did stuff. And I think that just shows that some of we content creators still have our work cut out for us. Getting the message across to people that no, there actually is a clear aggressor here. There is someone who is attacking someone else, an innocent man. And instead of this sort of equivalent, oh, they both did something. I don't know if you found that attitude or not, but I found that
completely. And it's interesting because I'm here in Hollywood, and you would expect people to follow this very closely. And I was talking about this here on my channel the other day that, I met an actor at a party, at an Oscar party, and he was like, well, Justin Baldoni is kind of a creep. And I was like, have you actually followed this case since you saw that article in New York Times? And he was like, not really. So I see that, people just read headlines here and there, and that's it. And I think also that's why probably Blake Lively showed up at that premiere, because that's how people read the news. You read one headline here and one there, and now Google is filled with like Blake Lively at the red carpet, smiling, beautiful, so happy and positive, and everyone loves her, and she loves everyone. Were you surprised that she walked up to fans and taking selfies with them and stuff?
I actually was. I want to be always fair about how I judge these people and I judge these situations. And so I'll give Blake Lively props for that one thing, that she had some guts to do that, because it does take guts. I mean, she didn't know if there was someone out there who would have been legitimately problematic. I was just kind of doing some occasional funny heckling, but she didn't know what she was getting into. And so, look, I do give her props for some courage there, but it's in the service of being a horrible person. And what would be really courageous would be for Blake to declare, look, y'all, I've screwed up. Justin Baldoni didn't harass me. He wasn't a toxic person. I'm sorry I did this. I'm going to go away for a while. That would be the most courageous thing. And I continue to think she should do that, but she won't do that. So I'm sure that Anna Kendrick and Blake Lively did hear me screaming, though, as they were coming by. And by the way, I really tried not to make myself a continual nuisance. I wanted to make my voice heard for 30 seconds and get my poster up there. But it's not like I was following Blake Lively around heckling or anything. It was really, I just stood in one place and the stars came by. And when they would get in front of me, I would scream something at them, right? So when Anna came by, and I got this on video, I said, sorry you had to work with Blake. Anna, sorry you had to work with Blake. And people around me were laughing. And then when Blake came by, I was screaming, justice for Justin, justice for Justin. So I think that they heard me, but I got no acknowledgement there.
It was interesting because when I watched your video, I felt like they were screaming when Anna came out, and they were screaming a lot louder for Blake Lively. Was that the experience you had? Were people just screaming of joy? Were they actually louder when she arrived?
Yeah, they were. And by the way, I just want to say, I'm sorry, I'm getting over a cold. So not the most attractive thing I know, but there's really nothing else to do besides get snot everywhere. To be totally honest, the crowd was enthusiastic when Blake Lively came by, at least around where I was, and they were a lot more enthusiastic for her. But the sense that I got from standing around there and talking to people around me is that there weren't a lot of Blake Lively fans per se. It was really just people who were either fans of the movie or fans of or just saw that there was something going on here and decided to line up and see if they could see a movie star. I didn't get the sense that there was really much of a Team Lively there. Now I see that the director's wife was pretending to be a fan in the audience.
In the audience too, because I saw
Yeah.
her comments on social media, which I was like, oh no, don't go there. Did you see that?
I did. Yeah. So this
Yeah.
is like the newest breaking news that I just saw this morning, so to speak, is that some people are talking about the fact that apparently there is footage of Paul, is it Feig? How do you say his
Yeah,
last name?
yeah, Feig.
Paul Feig's wife, who, yes, has been hypercritical of Justin Baldoni and his supporters, but Paul Feig's wife pretending to be a fan on the rope line and like taking pictures with Blake and stuff. So, I mean, I don't know.
Oh my God, I didn't see that.
Yeah, you should check it out. And of course, like you said, she's made a number of inflammatory comments. Of course, free country, and she has a right to express her opinion. But it's really when I see the director's wife's responses to this whole controversy, and she's saying things like she's calling us women-hating Trumpers. And at that point, when people use that kind of rhetoric, I'm just like, okay, whatever.
Yeah. No, it's interesting you say that she was behind the line there, because I saw some footage where Blake Lively walked up to fans and then she goes over and hugs this guy as she knows him. I'm like, why would he be there if he's your friend so much as like you go up and you recognize him and you give him a hug? That's just like so weird to me. I've never seen that before either. Then you are inside and you're going to work.
All right, I'm back. So you guys, Jesus got back to me. He just posted on Twitter and DM'd me. He did an analysis of Brandon Sklenar. And so I've got that. I've also got the clip that AJ mentioned here. But let's look at the body language analysis. One second. I'm gonna pull it up. That's so awesome that he got back to me so fast, though. It's a great turnaround. I don't know if maybe some of you said something to him or something, but if you did, thank you. There we go. All right. Okay, so I have not watched this. I don't know if he's going to say deception, no deception. If he can see anything, we will see.
Speculations on him. Recently, so Colonel Kurtz on X asked me to do this body language analysis of Brandon Sklenar, who was denying to people about a special hidden meaning. Speculations on him recently wearing the same brooch as Justin Baldoni, as in maybe this was some kind of support or something. And well, the video was this. Yes, I'm just going to do this just because you did that Justin Baldoni sign, Colonel. That was great. Let me kind of do something for the cause. So he was asked, is there a special meaning?
Wait a minute. Jesus. I love that. He gave me a shout out. He gave me oh, that's funny. Jesus just gave me a shout out and said that because of the Justin Baldoni protests that I did, the protests the other day at Blake Lively's premiere, that he's going to do something he says, for the cause. I love it. I love it. Okay, I'm going to rewind it here. Sorry, you might need to turn it up a little. StreamYard does this weird thing where when I stream something from another location, it kind of messes with the sound. I don't really understand it, but it's not anything I can do on my end. So here we go. I'm going to replay this. So this is a body language, language analysis by Jesus. He's one of the big body language analysts on the internet right now. So he's looking at Brandon Sklenar.
So Colonel Kurtz on X asked me to do this body language analysis of Brandon Sklenar, who was denying to people about a special hidden meaning. Speculations on him recently wearing the same brooch as Justin Baldoni, as in maybe this was some kind of support or something. And well, the video was this. Yes, I'm just going to do this just because you did that Justin Baldoni sign, Colonel. That was great. Let me kind of do something for the cause. So he was asked, is there a special meaning?
Honestly, no.
Let me adjust my sound is all over the place. Okay, now.
Meaning behind that pin you wore last week.
Yeah.
So the first reaction that we see is there's this eyebrow raise. Okay, he was not expecting the question at all. It was a genuine surprise reaction of the question, and he says, "Yeah, honestly, no." That honestly makes it's when people use filler words to maybe try to appear a bit more convincing, but well, both the eyebrow raise and the honestly no tells me that there's more to this.
Honestly, no.
And notice that he looks at the interviewer and immediately looks away, like he's trying to give himself a break. Look at that. There. He looked away from the interviewer and he says afterward, I wish I could say...
I wish I could say there was. That was a total...
I wish I could say there was. Why? Do you actually support Justin? Because if you say, I wish I could actually say there was, if there was a reason, there was something, there was the same brooch, which was kind of odd.
All right, so sorry. I was going to say that let's just play it again, actually. I want to play what he just said because that was such a good catch, all right? And I might want to clip this, so I want to have it here.
At all. It was a genuine surprise reaction of the question. And he says, yeah, honestly, no. That honestly makes, it's when people use filler words to maybe try to appear a bit more convincing, but well, both the eyebrow raise and the honestly no tells me that there's more to this.
Honestly, no.
And notice that he looks at the interviewer and immediately looks away, like he's trying to give himself a break. Look at that. There. He looked away from the interviewer and he says afterward, I wish I could say...
I wish I could say there was. That was a total...
I wish I could say there was. Why? Do you actually support Justin?
That is a huge catch there. And I'm embarrassed that as someone who considers myself a smart, perceptive person, I did not catch that. That's a huge catch there when he says, I wish I could say that there was, because does that actually, as Jesus does that perhaps then imply that his actual feeling on the matter, his underlying feeling is that he supports Baldoni, or he would like to support Baldoni, right? Interesting. All right, we'll see what else he has to say. I like it though.
Because if you say, I wish I could actually say there was, if there was a reason, there was something, there was the same brooch, which was kind of odd. Was it just a coincidence?
Happenstance.
Total happenstance, he says.
I woke up in the morning.
He has another clue, which is that tongue show. He's wetted his lips again. Each and every one of these clues in its own doesn't say anything, but all of them, one after another, can tell us that well, he was not being that truthful about this. Maybe he had some intention behind wearing that brooch.
In the morning and saw an article, and I was like, oh damn, I literally had no idea. I had an idea. I wanted to wear like a floral brooch of some kind, and
he's looking down. He keeps looking down. He shrugs a couple times.
That was the color I liked the best, and lo and behold, someone also wore that prior to me wearing it. So yeah.
And when he said, it is interesting that he says he avoids mentioning Justin directly. That is one thing that I find a bit odd. Like I'm on purpose not going to mention Justin, but
lo and behold, someone also wore that prior to me wearing it.
Well, right after he says that, and right before the clip ends, you got this. That is kind of a dupe delight. Like, well, of course I didn't support the guy. What do you expect? If it was a coincidence? So very short analysis, but Colonel Kurtz, I think that the guy was not telling the truth. I think that he did it on purpose. So that is my opinion. Let me know what you think about this in the comments.
Oh, I love it. I absolutely love it. Thank you so much for that. And that is like, that's the feeling I was getting from it. But he had a really good catch there. One second, I'm going to bring him up again. He had a really good catch there, though, to note when he said, I wish that I could say that I had, right? because that's kind of, in a way, unconsciously signaling that he has support for Justin Baldoni, that he wishes he could, or maybe he did, right? So I don't know, but that's an interesting analysis. Now, AJ had pointed out that someone else, Gail King, had asked him the same question. I haven't looked at the clip yet. AJ said it was at the 5:55 mark. So let me bring this up. My first time looking at this, and you can let me know what you think. Okay, have to suffer through these ads. Anyways, okay, so let's see. All right. I'm going to have to open up a new window. I see this is not catching. I hate doing all this tech stuff. You know, when I watch someone like Candace Owens and her delivery, whatever people may think of her, her delivery is generally very, very smooth. And I watch her and it's just kind of all coming out, no issues. But then I have to remind myself, oh yeah, but she's not handling the tech on her stream. So if all I had to do was just come in here and sit down and someone was handling everything for me, including all of the visuals and changes and all of that, then it would be a lot smoother. The tech is the thing I will always hate the most, and it's why I don't like streaming. But anyway, that having been said, let me bring this up. Okay, here we go. So thank you for this, AJ. Let's see if he seems deceptive. Oh no, not again. Click to return to the video. Oh, maybe it's going to make me... Just a second. Let's try it one more time here. Is this paywalled? Maybe, in a way, or no? I don't know. Just a second here. I had to click out of it because it was telling me, it was then trying to get me to join. I'm not sure if this content is available. Let's see. All right. I remember the good old days when, like, even on YouTube, you didn't have ads. Those were great, great days. We didn't have to suffer through this. Okay. It's so weird. It's like it's messing up. Let me just see if I can do it on my phone. Actually, I'm going to pull it up on my phone, and then we can just listen to it from here. Because I don't know. I think there's something about my on StreamYard that I'm there's some kind of technical issue getting in the way here. All right. Well, I liked that analysis, though. I mean, the guy kept, Brandon Sklenar, I mean, he kept looking away. He could not, from the moment the question was asked, he couldn't actually look at the interviewer. And so that was kind of a dead giveaway. And then I'm now not getting sound on that. Just a second. Sorry, y'all. Why am I not? It's not giving sound now. I don't know what the issue is. I'll have to try to come back to it. If y'all want to go to my Twitter at some point and you want to see if you can access, that's fine. But he was asked the same question apparently. So yeah, I don't know. I wish that Brandon Sklenar, like I said, I think Brandon Sklenar needs to grow some balls. And but you know, I also kind of feel sorry for these people. Let me say this too, even though they have not, people like him and some of the others have not shown courage in all of this, I do think also they are probably in a really precarious situation because they are really between a rock and a hard place with all of this. On the one hand, you've got Team Lively Reynolds and all that they represent, all the connections, all the power that they have in Hollywood. And at the same time, you've now got the majority of public opinion against Blake Lively, and this thing is blowing up and it's becoming a kind of another kind of Depp versus Heard. And so I do feel sorry for some of these people to an extent, even though they need to grow some balls, they need to be courageous, and at the very least stop publicly supporting Blake Lively, which they have. But I think that it's an unfortunate situation, and it just goes to show you how much collateral damage and how much destruction these types of personalities, these Blake Lively types, how much havoc they wreak in the lives of people around them ultimately with this kind of stuff. Now, I want to talk about now some criticism that not only have I been getting, but other content creators as well. And this is not just about the quote unquote stunt or performance art or protest that I did the other day, although it has it's been mentioned, but there has been quite a bit of criticism really just brewing over the last several weeks. And I want to get back to Taylor Lorenz. Some of you probably thought I was not going to get back to that, but there was a point that I was getting into about Taylor Lorenz earlier, and I got a little distracted because I wanted to cover the body language experts' opinion. But let's go back to this. So there's a woman online named Caroline Kwan, and she is a podcaster. She describes herself as a female content creator. And she recently commented on what she sees as the radicalization, the right-wing radicalization of women by people like me online. She recently commented on this, and guess who picked that up and promoted it? Guess who has been talking about the same things? Taylor Lorenz. Now, I took a little detour earlier, and I want to come back to it. You'll remember, as I said, that a week or so ago, Candace Owens mentioned that she had been in conversation with Taylor Lorenz, and there were a couple of content creators who basically came out warning on Twitter, warning Candace and others about Taylor Lorenz. And so I want to talk about who these people are. Most of you know them, Ari Jacob and that umbrella guy, and what their issues are with Taylor Lorenz. And by the way, it's not just them. I believe Legal Bites as well. If you've ever seen Legal Bites coverage, she was also misrepresented by Taylor Swift as well. And so this is what happened. During Depp versus Heard, Taylor Swift, I keep wanting to call her Taylor Swift. During Depp versus Heard, Taylor Lorenz worked for the New York Times, and she covered primarily online culture, among other things, but online culture, right? And she wrote a hit piece, basically, and it got a lot of promotion. It got a lot of play online. It was retweeted a lot, and it really made a splash in the news. But she wrote an article, a hit piece on Johnny Depp supporters online, on the Justice for Johnny Depp movement. And in particular, she talked about creators like That Umbrella Guy and Legal Bites and others, and argued that these people, these content creators, were just making an absolute killing. They were making so much money during the Depp versus Heard trial. And what's even worse, they were making this money and they were growing their followers, and they were exploding in popularity due to promoting misogyny. In other words, they were promoting the misogynist opinion that Amber Heard had lied about Johnny Depp. And these people like Taylor Lorenz, also Kat Tenbarge is another one. These were mainstream media players. Now, I think they recently got fired from their mainstream media jobs. Both of them, Taylor Lorenz and Kat Tenbarge, who have been the biggest critics of the Justice for Johnny Depp movement, and also the Justice for Marilyn Manson movement, and really any of us who critique the excesses and the lies of Me Too hoaxes. These people have been our biggest critics, and both of them announced recently that they were leaving their big media, mainstream media jobs, and they were going independent. Well, I guess it's possible that they voluntarily left. I would tend to think that they were fired. And so anyway, so Taylor Lorenz, just recently, she started blogging. She started writing independently. And she just the other day came out with an article talking about this very same subject, which is this apparent radicalization of women by, quote, right-wing podcasters like me. But you have to remember what she was accusing Depp versus her, the Johnny Depp supporters like That Umbrella Guy and others of doing during the Depp versus Heard trial. It was the same bullshit. It was the same accusations of misogyny. They're monetizing misogyny, and they're just a bunch of crazy right wingers and all of this, right? It didn't work then, and it's not going to work now. But what Taylor Lorenz did that was really, really shady in her hit piece on the Johnny Depp content creators is she claimed that she had reached out to them for comment and they had not gotten back to her. And it turns out that Taylor Lorenz had not reached out to them for comment. She just hadn't bothered to or hadn't wanted to comment, to contact these people for a reaction. Either because she just didn't want to hear what they had to say and didn't want to have to put it in her article, or she just absolutely didn't care and is a shoddy journalist and didn't think that it was important to get their response to the particular allegations that she was making against them. And I know that she way overestimated the amount of money that umbrella guy and Legal Bites and other content creators made during Depp versus Heard. Yes, Depp versus Heard was a golden age for content creators, and all of us got some nice tips and super chats from that. But she way overestimated intentionally the amount of money that she said these content creators would have made during Depp versus Heard, and then didn't even contact them to get their comments on her allegations against them. And she was also, and also the allegations of misogyny and of being rabid right-wingers and all of this, right? Never got a comment from them and claimed that she had. So when they then called her out on it, when Legal Bites and that umbrella guy and others came forward and said, actually, I've checked my email, I've checked my DMs, you, Taylor Lorenz, you never contacted us during the writing of your hit piece on us. Do you know what she did then? She then immediately sends them an email asking for comment, as if to say, oh, this is just as good. I want your comment now. See, I did. And then she claimed that she had asked them for comment. So this woman is so deceptive that she was trying to pass off emails sent after the fact as evidence of her effort to contact these people for comments while she was writing their hit piece, the hit piece on them. Now, it's so deceptive. It's so ridiculous. And then let's not forget also, I mentioned this earlier, what Taylor Lorenz did to Ari Jacob. Ari Jacob, as I said before, was the first person that I saw online to recognize, the first person with an audience, a decent sized audience, the first person that I saw online to recognize that Blake Lively's allegations against Justin Baldoni were BS. And back when Blake Lively filed that initial complaint and that New York Times article came out, it making Justin Baldoni and Wayfarer look so bad, I have admitted to y'all that I thought that this might have some legitimacy to it, even though there were things that in hindsight didn't make sense about Blake Lively's allegations. But I was just so biased against the man bun and the male feminist thing and the label and all of that. And this just is a great example, y'all, of where in each case, our own personal biases can get in the way. And look, it's sad to say, I hate to say it, but I'm an example of that bias because, look, I, above all else, above anyone, should be skeptical of Me Too claims, considering the work that I've been doing on my channel now for years. And I normally would be, but I had particular biases against Justin Baldoni because of the man bun feminist image, right, that I had of him. And the fact that I think that these types of people are generally creepy, like, oh, come on, you have this nice looking guy with this like man bun and this whole like gentle masculinity shtick and all that. I bet he is creepy. I bet she probably is telling the truth. It's so sad that I thought that. But y'all, that just tells you how insidious these types of allegations are, that even people like me who are on the lookout for deception in these areas can still be fooled. And I see that I see that among people in my audience too at times, where they'll say, yeah, I really like your coverage of Depp versus Heard, but you're just completely way off on the Manson thing. Or, yeah, I really like your coverage of this, but you're just completely way off on the other thing. And I'll say, well, have you looked into the Manson thing? Have you looked into the other thing? Are you aware of this? And they'll say, well, no, but he's just creepy, right? And that's the thing. We all have this bias and we are all vulnerable to it. So anyway, Ari Jacob, she's a Russian spy. I don't understand your comment. That's funny though. Little Miss Jacobs is fun. She's a Russian spy. Oh yeah, we're all Russian spies, don't you know? No, but seriously. So long story short, back when I was thinking that Blake Lively was probably telling the truth, although I hadn't looked into it, Ari Jacob was the only person that I saw out there presenting a counter argument. And I remember she posted right after Blake Lively posted or filed that complaint, and it was posted in the New York Times, etc. Ari Jacob posted a multi-part thread in which she went into all of the reasons why she was dubious about Blake Lively's claims and why people should at least hold off and not rush to judgment until they hear the other side. And that was what cracked open my mind just a little bit, just enough for me to think, okay, there's got to be, there could be something else going on here. And I'm really grateful that Ari did that, because what that meant is when Justin Baldoni filed his lawsuit, then my mind was already cracked open a little, so that when I read his lawsuit and I saw how much more compelling Justin Baldoni's lawsuit was than Blake Lively's claims, then I was like ready to jump on board. And I was like, okay, I see what this is. This is a Me Too hoax. And so again, so grateful. But what did Taylor Lorenz do to this woman, do to this beautiful, kind, sweet, intelligent woman, Ari Jacob, who, by the way, before Taylor Lorenz ruined her, had built a thriving business as a manager for TikTok creators. And I'm not going to go into it, but basically the point is that Ari was really moving in on the fields of TikTok management and making some people uncomfortable because she was seen as kind of an upstart, right? And a challenge to the system, so to speak. And so Taylor Lorenz, who also was associated with some of Ari Jacob's competitors, decided to do a hit piece on her. And Taylor Lorenz completely destroyed this woman in a hit piece. And the hit piece was absolutely ridiculous, and it was full of lies or half-truths. For instance, I just want to tell you a couple of them, a couple of lies or misrepresentations that Taylor Lorenz made about Ari Jacob. So you'll know what kind of a person we're dealing with here, and you'll know what the media strategy is on these things. It's distortion, and manipulation. Taylor Lorenz, in her hit piece article, the one that completely canceled Ari and ruined her business and destroyed her life for a while, Taylor Lorenz made a couple of claims in particular that I'll point out. She claimed, for instance, that Ari was really mean and fostered a toxic workplace environment. And one of the examples she gave is that some of the people, the young people, the teenagers or young 20-somethings who lived in this house and worked for Ari, because Ari's business model was you get a house, a really nice house, and you treat it almost like a dorm, and you have young content creators move in and you cover their rent. In exchange, they do content creation, and they, as a manager, they give you a cut of it. And she had some clients that were just exploding in popularity and had millions of followers and became millionaires, basically, right? But her business model, Ari's model, was to get them all in one house, and that way she could keep an eye on them, right? She could get them to be more productive and also take care of them and all of these things, right? Which I think is cool. I wish someone would move me into a house with like a completely pre-formulated set and equipment and technology and whatever, and I would just have to be there working, right? That'd be great. But anyway, here's the point. Some of these young content creators would apparently throw late night parties, and we're talking about wealthy, successful teenagers here, right? Who just kind of hit it big or are trying to hit it big. They would throw these really late night parties. Things would get out of hand, and Ari would have to call them late at night and say, y'all go to bed, or y'all stop doing this, or y'all, the neighbors called me and complained, or whatever. Well, that was twisted around by Taylor Lorenz in the New York Times hit piece on Ari as this. Ari was such a mean bitch that she would call them in the middle of the night, and she was such a slave driver that she would call them in the middle of the night when, poor things, they're just supposed to be sleeping, harassing them and being such a bad boss. Total misrepresentation. Another misrepresentation, it was alleged by some of these content creators that Ari was sometimes late paying them or wouldn't pay them. Well, come to find out, and Ari has demonstrated this on her show and has documentation of it, that they were paid regularly by her, but that sometimes brand endorsement deals would be late in payment because Ari could not control the payments coming from these brands. And sometimes she says it's a part of the business that sometimes when you do these brand endorsement deals, sometimes they're a little bit late in payment. And so this again was twisted around by Taylor Lorenz in this hit piece to say that Ari was being disreputable and was not paying these people, that she had them basically working as slave labor in this house. I mean, this is the difference between reality and the distortion you get in the media. The reality was Ari got them set up, these content creators, with a really nice mansion in a great neighborhood, sort of a dream dorm experience. and was facilitating them exploding in popularity and becoming millionaires. And meanwhile, this is distorted in the New York Times Taylor Lorenz hit piece article to make it sound like Ari has them trapped in this house under these bad conditions, and she's calling and raging at them, and she's demanding that they do this work almost like toxic slave labor. That's how it gets distorted. So what happens is Ari sues them, and good for her. She sues them for defamation and other things. And then she ended up settling, because in the end, almost everyone has to settle in these cases. Y'all know that's just how it is. But she got her story out there. She got her side of things out there. She was able to do some interviews. Ari was on Fox News, etc. All right, what is the point of all this? The point is that this disreputable critic of online culture, Taylor Lorenz, someone who has lied about, misrepresented, and destroyed honest, good people, she is now setting about with some of these other people, these activists, these feminist activists and content creators, to malign the Justice for Justin Baldoni movement. And Taylor Lorenz, in fact, just recently wrote an article on this. It is paywalled, and I tried to get past the paywall, and I wasn't able to. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But this is the title of Taylor Lorenz. This just came out March 7th. This is the title of her recent hit piece. Right-wing creators are dominating lively Baldoni coverage. Conservative commentators are leveraging the case to dismantle support for Me Too and amass unprecedented audience growth. All right, and then we'll read a little bit until we can't. So we've got a picture here of Brett Cooper, Candace Owens, and Megyn Kelly, who have been the most recognized or most well-known content creators, media people in this field. All right. Although she's not just talking about them, neither of these women are. In fact, the other lady that we're going to see, the Caroline Kwan lady, actually had a picture of my Justin Baldoni poster from the other day. It says, Taylor says, last month at the Conservative Political Action Conference, CPAC, Megyn Kelly took the stage in front of thousands of people. I saw this. Have you heard about what's happening with the Blake Lively versus Justin Baldoni case? She asked the crowd. Are you obsessed with this case? There are millions of people who are obsessed with this case. Over the course of the next 20 minutes, Kelly spoke in detail about Lively versus Baldoni. She called Lively, who claims that Justin Baldoni, her co-star in the movie It Ends With Us, sexually harassed her and created a hostile work environment, a high-maintenance diva bully brat. So Megyn Kelly called Blake Lively, quote, a high-maintenance diva bully brat. Kelly said that after Lively's claims of sexual harassment became public, quote, okay, so basically Taylor Lorenz is using this CPAC address by Megyn Kelly in which she referenced Justin Baldoni and Blake Lively's that saga as a jumping off point to basically say all of these media figures and content creators, they're really just a bunch of right-wingers who are trying to slip their right-wing agenda in sort of through the back door, basically, right? So the idea being that I'm just really like a right-wing wacko, as are all these other content creators, and we kind of pretend that the point is justice or that we care about these particular people, Justin Baldoni, Johnny Depp, and these sagas, but really what we're about is just pushing this right-wing misogynist agenda so that we can make a ton of money, right? And then we've got Caroline Kwan here. I'm going to bring this up. And by the way, this Caroline Kwan person was also retweeted or restoried by Taylor Lorenz on Instagram. So there's a definite kind of on some level, a kind of collusion going on here, which is fine. People can work with and promote whoever they want to, but these two are in league with each other in a way and are promoting the same idea. So Caroline says, as a female content creator who covers pop culture news from a leftist perspective, it is alarming to see the proliferation of reactionary female content creators who fully realize that the pop culture celebrity news space is ripe for right-wing dominance. That's right. I am trying to exert right-wing dominance with my show. Can you not tell? Can you not see that? I'm basically just Alex Jones Redux, right? All right, continuing on. We talk about the manosphere and the online radicalization of men and boys, but we are not talking enough about the women who are also being radicalized, often via these reactionary female content creators who utilize entertainment industry cases of sexual harassment to push a regressive agenda. There is absolutely a celeb gossip to alt-right pipeline. Sexual harassment cases are not gossip, to be clear, but it's often framed this way, and it attracts the attention of people who seek this type of news and content. And then what we see here, she's provided with this post, she's provided 4 examples now of this kind of right-wing, this kind of disguised right-wing reactionary agenda. So she's this, I think this is from The Spiritual Shift, the one on the left. Blake Lively is like a crazy serial stalker obsessed with Justin Baldoni. She has now hired a former CIA agent as her crisis PR manager and pushed for FBI level intrusive discovery in court. What a deranged freak. Okay. Then we've got Pop Crave on the lower right hand corner. Justin Baldoni is suing Blake Lively, Ryan Reynolds, their publicist, and her PR firm for $400 million. Okay. And then we've got me. So she includes my sign here. I do appreciate that she put my name here, left my name here so people can find me if they want from her article. But this is my sign. This is what I tweeted out when I was on the way to South by Southwest. If you're at South by Southwest in downtown Austin in a couple of hours, look for the girl with a camera and mic and this sign. Justice for Justin Baldoni, Blake Live. All right. So in addition to that, Caroline also did a podcast episode where she talked about these same themes. And this was something that was retweeted or restoried and promoted by Taylor Lorenz. So I want to show you here. Yeah, so I'm not going to bring it up because it's on Instagram and it's hard to bring it up on my computer. But see, Taylor Lorenz, and this is that Caroline Kwan lady, right? So I want to play this for you. I want to play for you what she says here. You'll just be able to hear it, I think, on my phone. I'll put her back up here. All right. So this is the writer of this post right here, Caroline, and she's talking on a show. It might be her own podcast, and this was what has been promoted by Taylor Lorenz.
Content creators who are utilizing pop culture and specifically celebrity news as a way to push a reactionary agenda. And it is very worrisome. It's very, very.
All right. That's one.
A reactionary agenda. And it is very worrisome. It's very, very worrisome. So for instance, all of these people, Melanie King, Blake Lively, aka Plantation Barbie, did a costume change on the red carpet for Another Simple Favors premiere at South by Southwest. Is she serious? The delusion and narcissism is egregious. No one else did this. I know Anna Kendrick is so tired. All of these people, if you go to their profiles, this is the content that they have latched onto because it is prime for reactionary. It's prime for reactionary framing, and it is algorithmically rewarded. So it's making them more money because it's getting them more viewers, content creators.
All right. So there's a lot alleged in there, and I just want to kind of tick through things one at a time. She keeps using this term reactionary, and I really feel like she is overly reliant on this term. And so if we're going to use this term, if this is going to be your big bad label that you're putting on us content creators, then I want to know what this term means. So we look it up, reactionary definition. All right. So a person or a set of views opposing political or social liberalization or reform. All right. So you're saying so I guess you're trying to use this basically in a sense to say right wing. But although she doesn't actually want to come out and say that so much, I'm not really sure. Well, reactionary. I think because the term reactionary, it implies that someone who is like overreacting, like they're being crazy, like they're all hyped up. Like if someone says reactionary to me, then I have this image of like an Alex Jones type, right? And so what she's basically saying is you've got all of these content creators, and a lot of them female like me, who have these right-wing agendas to basically dismantle feminism and dismantle Me Too and dismantle all the progress that women have made, and instead go back to some conservative status quo, right? or a status quo, for instance, where women are being harassed and can be assaulted and there's no repercussions. But the truth is that if you watch my show or anyone who watches my work, that is not me. And I understand, you know, she says, well, maybe I'm not talking about you, but she is. She's got a picture of from my Twitter right there on her page. And so I want to say a few things here. First of all, she calls out, and I've seen Melanie getting some criticism for this, but she called out Melanie King for this post about Blake Lively's costume change. And Melanie King has gotten, Melanie King has gotten a lot of shit for this. In fact, the director of A Simple Favor the director of Another Simple Favor, Paul Feig, not his wife. Let me try one more time. The director of A Simple Favor, I can't do it. The director of Another Simple Favor, Paul Feig, he called out Melanie and for something else. He called out her claim that Blake Lively and Anna Kendrick were not getting along and that there was a lot of tension between them. Well, I think that goes without saying. So I think that's kind of a silly thing to call her out for. But I saw her getting called out also for this costume change accusation. So Melanie, basically, her point, I think, was that Blake Lively is behaving in a way that is completely the opposite of how we would expect someone to behave who is really beaten down and sad and scared and all of these things that she claims in her lawsuit to be, right? Because she claims that this Baldoni stuff has just really put her through the ringer and she, can barely get out of bed sort of thing. And her children are even suffering, et cetera, et cetera. And so I think one of the points that Melanie was making here is that the way that she is acting in public, the way that Blake is behaving, for instance, at this premiere, she gets on stage at the premiere. We'll watch it in a minute. And she's doing all this wild gesticulating and stuff and seems like really amped up and happy to be there. She even says, I'm so happy. Da, da, da. And then we see her here on the red carpet. And yes, it was a costume change. I know that she got corrected by the community notes that said, oh, Blake Lively she just took off her jacket. But it was a little more than that, people. And when we come back, I'll try to find it. But when we come back, I will show you the actual film if you haven't seen it. But it was a little more. Sorry, I'm sweating. It was a little more. I need to turn on the air in here. It was a little more than that. In fact, look, it was more like, speaking of striptease, I'm hot anyway to take this off. But she gets like right in position with the cameras and they're taking pictures of her. And then she does this sort of, she's like, wait. And then she does this sort of thing where it comes off like that. And then she throws it to someone, right? Gives it to someone. And then she goes back and she poses. To me, the whole point of that moment, the whole point of that act was a sort of like, ooh, right? Like it was like a big reveal. And that's the whole point of these types of costumes. The reason that you wear a costume or a dress, I should say, inside of another outfit is to be able to do that sort of magician's assistant reveal. And ooh. And so, Melanie got in trouble for calling it a costume change. I'd go a step further and I'd call it a kind of a modified striptease, to be honest with you. I'm serious. And I watched the video. I'll come back in a little while. I'll show it to you. But there was a definite capitalizing on that va-va-va-boom moment of like, okay, I'm in front of the camera and everybody's looking at me. I'm on the red carpet. And now I've got their attention. I'm going to do this. Whoo! And I take it off. If I just wanted to take off a coat and I wasn't trying to make a big moment out of it, then I would just quietly sort of slide the coat off and hand it off. But that was not how she did it. She wanted there to be that moment. Now, who cares, right? I understand, except the point that I think Melanie was making is that this is a woman, Blake Lively, who far from being torn up and shredded up by the sexual harassment she supposedly experienced by Justin Baldoni, and who certainly doesn't seem to be feeling any like shame or any angst from the course that she has taken recently in life. This is a woman who should be exuding anything but this kind of flashy, show off, here I am attitude. It just doesn't really fit. It doesn't fit the state of Blake Lively's life. It doesn't fit the claims that she's made about her emotional state after what she claims she's been through with Justin Baldoni. And it also doesn't fit sort of the mood of decorum that she should be feeling about the serious situation that she's in. Now, you can disagree with Melanie on that if you want. And I understand there are times that I don't agree with some of the things that she said, for instance, about the Macron stuff. I still think that the Bridget Macron is a man conspiracy theory is just that, just a conspiracy theory. But at the same time, we can disagree on different things. But this was something for Melanie to get the kind of attacks that she's gotten over this, and people trying to claim that this was just a mere taking off of a coat. It wasn't meant to be showy in any way. It wasn't meant to be a moment. That's just absolutely not true, right? And so I get the point that she was making. Now, the plantation thing, can I just say something since this has come up for a minute? I have not looked into the plantation thing, honestly, at all. I will say that I really don't like the idea of punishing someone socially or shaming someone because they did something that in some way evokes something that happened 200 years ago or whatever. And what I mean by that is I feel like our nation, and maybe this is just some right-wing reactionary thing, but I feel like our nation has come a pretty long way from the days of slavery. And so if someone wants to get married on a pretty former plantation because it's pretty and it has a pretty beautiful mansion, Gone with the Wind mansion on it, and they want to do that, and they're not doing it to promote slavery, which I'm quite sure Blake Lively wasn't. I'm sure that it absolutely did not register with her that there would be anything wrong about this, or she wouldn't have done it. There's no way that left-wing Blake Lively and left-wing Ryan Reynolds or anyone like them in Hollywood wants to evoke the idea that they are supporting slavery or celebrating slavery. So to me, this whole plantation thing, plantation Barbie thing, to me, it really actually is not legitimate. To me, all this shows is that she wanted to get married at a really beautiful place. And being in the South, like a lot of people here, we're just kind of used to these, like I go to Louisiana sometimes to visit my relatives, and they live around a lot of old historical plantations. And we've taken tours sometimes of those plantations. They're historical, they're beautiful, and all of that. And does that mean that I'm endorsing slavery? And I wouldn't want to be canceled because someone found out that I took a tour of a plantation home, right? So I just think, honestly, this is a dumb thing to be criticizing Blake Lively for, but other people are entitled to their opinions. But this costume change controversy is really ridiculous because it's quite obvious that it was a kind of a costume change. The whole point of wearing the exterior outfit versus the interior one is to have that dramatic moment where you do the striptease, you do the big reveal, and you take it off. So come on. We know what Melanie was getting at there. No need to be silly about this. Now, I also think that there's a really obvious reason why right-wing commentators like Candace Owens, like Brett Cooper, like Megyn Kelly are at the front lines of this Justin Baldoni, Blake Lively controversy. And I don't think it has anything to do with some conspiracy to push a right-wing agenda or anything like that. I think there's actually a really obvious reason and a reasonable reason why the people who happen to be covering this story most prominently are people of the right-wing persuasion. Although also, let me just say, Megyn Kelly is so far from an extreme right-winger. In fact, she's gotten into some dust-ups with Trump herself, and at times has really angered people on the right for some contrarian opinions that she has. So to paint her as just this extreme, rabid right-winger is really silly. But I do want to address this more in a moment. So I'm going to take a break. I need a 5-minute break, and then we will come back. And I want to talk more about this accusation that we are a bunch of right-wing reactionaries pushing an anti-Me Too agenda. I want to talk about this more, and then we'll get into some other things. But if you're just now joining, everybody, we are trying to get me to 100,000 subscribers. I have been at the under 100,000 mark, kind of hovering there in the 88,000 zone for years. Just recently started to grow again with the Baldoni versus Lively stuff, and I am right there, right at the edge of 100,000. So if you know anybody who has not followed me, you message them, you text them, you tell them to get on it. Stat. We are at 99,465 subscribers, y'all. We are getting close. I think that in the last, what does that mean? That means in the last like 40 minutes, we've added 40 subscribers. We're getting there, though. We're getting there. I just know that when some people get off work today, let me just say, I just know that when some hardworking folks get off work today at 5 o'clock and they get home and they see that notification from me that I'm trying to get to 100,000 subscribers, they will click on it. So I'm just anticipating we are going to get a post 5 o'clock, post workday surge of new subscription activity, right? Otherwise, we're going to be here a while. Okay. When we come back, I want to finish talking about Caroline, her accusation. And I also want to talk about a couple of other items in the media that I've seen basically casting negative aspersions on the Justice for Justin Baldoni bloggers and content creators. We will talk about that. Plus, I see a bit of news is breaking in some other areas, other related areas. So we will talk about that as well. All right. What should I play while we go away? What should I play? Let's go back to my channel. Congrats on your bump. All right. Let's see what we got here. I'm going to bring up my YouTube again. Congrats on your bump. All right. So let's see what we got. So I know what I want to play because actually I wanted to talk a little bit about this topic as well. So I did a video the other day about Meghan Markle. I think some of you were here for this. Meghan Markle and Blake Lively being stuck in a PR death spiral, as I called it. Stuck in a PR death spiral. Where did that video go? Actually, I'm not seeing it right now anymore. Did it go away? I don't actually see it. Hold on. I'll be right back. I'm trying to figure out what this thing is. Oh, no, I got it. Okay, here we go. So I'm going to play this. I'm going to go away for 5 minutes. I need a little break, and I will be back. All right? Thank you.
Finally, a concealer that understands mature skin. This is creeping into your fine lines and wrinkles and exaggerating them. This doesn't cover your age-related dark circles.
Oh my God.
This
I did think about doing a quiet protest of my own if I could get a man on videos on it. But it was interesting to go. The page is called The Spiritual Shift. Again, not for again. I critiqued that show and I did several episodes on my YouTube channel critiquing it. But there was a part of me, look, I think I'm a human and a decent person in terms of my psyche and my empathy for people. And there was a part of me at times that did feel sorry for them. You know, I know that probably a lot of the time when Megan's crying, it's like fake narcissistic crying, but there were some times when she was crying about, you know, feeling bullied or et cetera, and stressed and harassed. And I think some of these tears were genuine. And I felt kind of sorry for her because I just don't like seeing human beings suffer. And I guess my point is, I absolutely believe that Meghan Markle and Prince Harry are suffering, and that they also, not suffering like people who are starving or homeless or got cancer or whatever, okay, but like psychologically suffering. I do think that they're suffering. And I do think that they genuinely don't understand how they brought why people hate them so much, right? And how they brought all of this upon themselves. And so there was a part of me that was thinking when I was watching that and watching Meghan Markle cry and Harry upset, and I'm thinking, to some degree, are they right in that they have been too negatively dissected? And there are lots of things that in any other person, no one would care about or remark on or have a problem with, but because they do it, then it becomes weird, right? And that may be the case, but I think the thing that a lot of anti-Meghan Markle people will tell you, and this is, I guess, where I come down to on this, and I'm going to get to the death spiral thing. I'm going somewhere here, is that they did, it's not as extreme perhaps as Blake Lively and Amber Heard and what they've done, but Meghan Markle and Harry, I do feel like they did try to kind of destroy them. All right, we are back. We're back, actually. So I got a little bit of bad news. I have been called into work. I mean, my real job, my waitressing job, which is fine because I had actually told my boss that I wanted to help out today, make a little extra money if she needed me. So anyway, but I'm gonna have to go into work, but that's all right. That's okay. I appreciate y'all sticking with me through this, and I want to make just one point here, one more point about these accusations. There are,
let me put this. Every content creator that I know at the level that I'm working at, I can't speak for Candace Owens or Megyn Kelly or Brett Cooper, but I can say that the content creators at the level that I'm working at, we have all of us covered a lot of stories that were not algorithmically or financially beneficial for us to cover. And so, and we covered these stories just because we were interested in them and cared about them on some level beyond the popularity that they would get us, right? And I've seen this really, and actually, honestly, I see this even with some of the bigger content creators too. I mean, Candace Owens right now is doing a very thankless series on Harvey Weinstein, basically a series seeking to vindicate Harvey Weinstein from the criminal allegations against him. Of course, Candace has said repeatedly that she thinks that he was an immoral man and he ran his studio like a brothel, et cetera, but that he was not guilty. I think that what she's seeking to show in her documentary, among other things, is that he was not guilty of the criminal things that he was accused of. Now, maybe he is, maybe he isn't, whatever. I'm watching her show and I'll do a little reporting on it as I go along. But I just have to say that, that is a very thankless series in a lot of ways that Candace Owens is doing. She knows that most people don't have an interest in the series vindicating Harvey Weinstein. I really believe, after watching her introduction to the series, that she is doing it in part because she really believes that there's a whole other side of the Me Too story that needs to be told, and that since Harvey Weinstein's case was the case that started Me Too, that maybe it would be good and beneficial for us to know if there was actually something rotting at the foundation of that. We talk about the fact that it's very popular among people to say that Me Too was mostly a good thing because most of the time women are not lying, and most of the time it's actually legit shit that is being addressed through Me Too. And these are things that I've even said at times too. But what if the truth is that Me Too is actually, on the whole, a net negative and not a net positive? And what if it's true that really what Me Too has done has just opened the door for a lot of attention seeking or money seeking or disturbed women to go after men and get revenge, or to try to get a quick buck, or to try to get some extra attention, or to try to work out whatever's going on in their own complicated psyches? This, I think, is kind of what Candace is trying to get at in her Weinstein series. So to the extent that she is asking these types of questions, I can see why someone would say, well, they're trying to dismantle Me Too. But here's my question. What if Me Too actually does need to be dismantled? And that doesn't mean that we need to allow abusive, toxic workplace behavior or sexual assault or any of these things. But I think that what we're starting to find out is that it's very possible that more harm has been done through Me Too than we realize, and more harm maybe even than the good that has come from it. I don't know, and I'm not ready to pronounce that, but I think it's an interesting question. So to the extent that we are asking those questions, that there are content creators like me and others who are asking those questions, I think that, I guess if you want to see that, Caroline Kwan, as a dismantling, an attempt to dismantle Me Too, then fine. But that is coming from a good place. It's not coming from a place of wanting women to be abused or alignment with misogyny or anything like that. And I want to say one more thing too. The reason why a number of critics of the Baldoni Blake Lively saga, a number of critics of Blake Lively are on the right, particularly the most notable, like Brett Cooper, Candace Owens, Megyn Kelly, is because people on the right are naturally more inclined to be suspicious of woke feminist claims. I don't know how else to put it. I know some people don't like the term woke, but woke feminist claims. In other words, you've got people on the right and the left, and then you've got these claims, these Me Too claims. And who's going to be more likely to notice the flaw in those claims? Is it going to be someone from the woke left wing, extreme left, or is it going to be someone from a less progressive, more right wing persuasion? In a lot of cases, it's probably going to be it's probably going to be the case that the people who see the problems with some of these Me Too cases are going to be people who were already inclined to be more skeptical of a more leftist agenda like Me Too. So I don't see it as some big conspiracy, as Hillary Clinton said back in the day, a vast right-wing conspiracy. I don't see it as some big conspiracy. What I see is that people who are more on the conservative end of things or more on the right are just more attuned to Me Too bullshit, politically speaking, ideologically speaking. But I also want to say that I know a ton of content creators who are not right-wing or who almost never even get into politics on their show. And if you really look at my show, the people who accuse me of being right-wing, yes, I have a lot of right of center positions, particularly economically. I'm really much more of in some ways, a libertarian really than even a conservative. But I have done tons of videos ragging on the right wing for what I see as their, at times, regressive, reductivist, reactionary views. But seriously, I have done multiple videos on the birth control issue and how I'm completely annoyed and bewildered why there's so many conservatives with this new trad agenda who are pushing the have as many kids as you can and don't use birth control agenda. I called out Tucker Carlson when he said that people should have children as early as possible, even, he says, in high school, even if you can't afford it. I mean, of course, that's ridiculous. I went on Tim Pool and I pointed out all of my critiques of the neo-trad traditionalist segment on Twitter and all of these things. So it's just not accurate to say that the content creators who are covering this are rabid right-wingers. Most of us don't even cover politics, honestly. I try to stay away from it on my channel most of the time. The only time I really got into politics much on my channel is when there were people critiquing academia. And a number of the people critiquing academia were actually on the left as well, right? It's not a partisan issue. So I just hope that people like Caroline Kwan and Taylor Lorenz will open their minds a bit to the idea that maybe the reason why critiques of Me Too have come more from people on the right is because people on the right are just naturally oriented more because of their views to be skeptical of Me Too. And so they're able to spot these bullshit cases a lot more easily and a lot faster than people on the left. I'll give you an example. One of my good friends, she's still a professor right now at a major university, and she is very, very leftist. She's probably almost as leftist as you could get without being one of these, woke BLM commie types, right? And very good friends. We have debates, we talk, everything. Well, every time there is a new Me Too case, she absolutely believes it. Absolutely believes it. The man is wrong. The woman is right. That is her perspective. That is her bias. That is her orientation. Believe women every time. And what happens in our relationship is that she will completely, because of her political orientation, she will completely get on board with each Me Too case. And then there's a process of where I start looking into the case and I start dissecting it. And then I'll say to her, wait a minute, did you know this? Did you know this? Did you know this? And then by the time I have told her all of these things, or she's been exposed to it herself, then she's like, it turns out that lady really is shady. Or, Amber Heard, she really was lying. Or, Evan Rachel Wood, yeah, she's really shady. Blake Lively, And basically what happens is over the course of time of being exposed to the truth, she kind of, individually speaking on each individual case, will kind of fall back. But then she'll say, but it's a shame that they're doing this. It's a shame that they're making women look bad because we know that 99.9% of the time women don't lie about this stuff, right? That's her view. Whereas someone like me who is right of center, not crazy right wing, not reactionary, not rabid right wing, but somewhat right of center, I am much more attuned ideologically to the flaws in Me Too and much more likely to promote the presumption of innocence rather than just automatically believing women. So this ideological divide that some of these people like Taylor Lorenz or Caroline Kwan are talking about, it has an explanation, and the explanation is nothing nefarious. It's nothing conspiratorial. It's nothing mysterious. It's just that Taylor and Caroline, you both have a giant blind spot. You have a giant ideological blind spot to the truth that is right in front of you. And if the two of you honestly could just look at Blake Lively's complaint and then look at Justin Baldoni's complaint or look at his lawsuits, it is quite obvious which one is stacked full of way more evidence, solid textual evidence, than the other. But these people are so ideologically blinded by their own leftist bias, their own believe all women bias, that the only explanation they can come up with for why any of us are covering this story is, oh, they just must be crazy right-wingers who are making bank on this. Now, I will say that it is true that you have these moments as a YouTuber and a content creator where what you're interested in and what is algorithmically advantageous, they do coincide. And so, yes, you have those moments. And of course, if you're trying to be successful, you're going to follow those stories more that are more algorithmically successful. But I keep going back to this. All of us content creators, we have spent so much time on stories that were not algorithmically successful just because we believed in them. The Marilyn Manson thing, I have covered the Marilyn Manson case for over 4 years. And it really would have been better for me, for my channel, if I were just interested in clicks and views and making money. It would have been better for me to have not done that, because yes, Marilyn Manson has fans and a lot of name recognition, and his story is very, very interesting. The Me Too hit against him, I continue to say, is the biggest Me Too hit job of all. Very interesting, but there's just not nearly as many people interested in that story, not nearly as a lot of other things, including Blake Lively and Johnny Depp, but a lot of other things too. And if I were only interested in clicks and views and success, then I would have hung that up long time ago. That Umbrella guy, he continues to cover this Hales thing, and it does nothing. It does nothing for him. It's an algorithmic dead end. And it doesn't gain him any new fans or subscribers, but he believes in it. So, I don't know. To me, it seems pretty obvious, and we probably waste our time to even try to argue with people like Taylor Lorenz and Caroline Kwan anyway. But, I keep trying because I think maybe I'm planting a little seed, and even if they're not ready for it right now, one day that seed is going to sprout and they're going to open their eyes. But we are just not, we're not there yet. Anyway, I'm sorry to cut us short. Let's see where we ended up, y'all. We weren't going to stay here the whole time anyway, though. I was probably, if I didn't have to leave, I was probably going to wrap it up in 2 hours anyway. My mods are like, thank God. But let's see where we ended up. It's a good little gimmick though, right? To get people to tune in. But look, y'all, we are so close to 100,000 that I think we're going to get there very soon. So I would love, let me put it this way. I'll leave us on this note. I would love tomorrow to be able to sign on for the live stream and to say, guys and gals, we did it. I hit 100,000. So I would love tomorrow. I'm just going to claim it, as Joel Osteen says, right? I'm just going to claim it and see if it happens. But I would love for that to happen. I have gotten some super chats. Thank you, Dan Campbell, for the $10. Fake Jively and Lion Reynolds. I like it. Sounds like a band or something. And then Paula, thank you for the 20. Says, just a second. Someone is ringing in. All right. Paula, thank you for the 20. Feel free to use this to make your next protest poster. I hope you make it to 100K subs. Thank you so much, y'all. I really appreciate you being here. And of course, I appreciate my mods. And I'm glad for you guys that you're not going to have to stick around here for hours and hours. But I appreciate you, Laura B, AJ, Rebel Bird, and Vanessa. And yeah, everybody. So let's see where we ended up at. Oh, YouTube is glitching out now. It's not even working for me, but I'm going to go to I wanted to get the exact count, which I can't get on the computer right now. Let me see. I'll go to my studio. Okay. We are at 99,471. So we actually have gained several hundred since we started, but I fully expect and claim we're going to be there tomorrow. So I look forward to seeing you all tomorrow. We'll do a normal live stream around the same time, and I hope to be celebrating 100K with you very, very soon. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. Bye-bye.